Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Walchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
It's week 10 of Texas high school football. Big Zach starts us off as Prosper down big against Allen. Centennial across the hallway, sliding to the inside and rumbling his way. Yeah. That's a pretty impressive QB run. There's a one-score game from the Ford Center. Hebron up big on Louisville. How about this? Weston Conway just pulls a rabbit out of the hat for the completion.
Yeah, good play, man.
That's impressive overall. Then you've got Allen again, wide receiver Blaine Green.
What a throw. What a throw.
Wow. That's a sharp throw. No pun intended. Actually, pun was intended. Then you've got Wakeland cornerback Jaden Page with the pick right in front of the camera.
Way to go, Jaden.
Going up and making it.
Wakeland up on Centennial as we're back here in studio at the Star in Frisco. Glad you're with us. Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Big plays.
Week 10 overtime, and there's big plays everywhere.
Big plays.
All over. We've got some close games overall. We'll dive into that here in just a moment. But first, I'd like to introduce Mallory Hartley, Heckma Harrison, and the always knowledgeable Guy Frazier. To my right, I'm Kyle Yeomans as we're back here 9 o'clock to 11. Glad you're with us here for Friday Night Stars. Stick with us over the next couple of hours, and we're going to dive into Week 10 of Texas high school football. And you saw a couple of the notable games in our top 5 highlights of the night so far. We've got a couple reporters, out at the games. You've got Chance Williams, who was out at Wakeland and Centennial across the hallway. William Broderick's out at Birdville, Colleyville Heritage. Josh Price out at Louisville and Hebron. And then poor Gavin Dunaway out at Allen and Prosper because Allen has just put it on Prosper to start that game out. And that's where we start our rundown of our Friday scores. The Allen Eagles up large over Prosper, and it was really kind of dominant from the get-go for Allen. 14 points in the first quarter, tacked on another 7 in the second quarter, and now they lead it 35-0, and they've held Prosper to just a $181 total yardage in this game so far.
Yeah, Raylan Sharp, he's doing it again. I mean, he's putting on a show. I mean, we are looking for someone every week that can do something versus Allen, and we have not found them yet.
Nope.
I think are we still looking to Duncanville to do something about Allen again this year?
Might be.
That's the only thing. The only team that I think can have a chance against him. Raylan Sharp, man, is a kid that is. Man, do they call him Little Kyler?
Little Kyler.
Yeah, man, they're gonna call him something else, man. Because I mean, like
call him
literally,
Big Sharp.
Yeah, he is something else. Like they're gonna call him something else. Like because he's never mind. Anyway,
so you're saying it's something else,
right?
Like he's
because
something
he is
else.
something else.
He
Thank
is
you,
quote,
guy.
something
This guy
else.
right here, he's drinking too many Red Bulls, man.
No, I was agreeing with
Okay,
you.
thank
I
you.
was adding
But
on.
this guy, Raylan
Kindred
Sharp,
spirits.
yeah, Raylan Sharp is amazing. These guys are up 35-0, and I mean 424 yards of offense to 181 yards for Prosper. You know, we've talked about this for the last year about Prosper, their facilities, building this program that's going to be ready to take on Allen. And
they're trying to become Allen.
They want to become Allen, but in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. Ric Flair said that, and he said, "Woo!" afterwards. But anyway, I'm not going to do that.
But you did, though.
I did, right? But the Eagles are. I mean, I don't know what you do with them. I mean, they've gotten off to the same start this year that they did last year, and I think they're primed and ready, man, for a playoff run.
I think this is even their first matchup in Prosper's new stadium, right? I mean,
this is first time these two have met at that.
There's no way that Prosper's old
Soldier.
stadium would be able to hold that many Allen fans. I mean,
Wow.
I really don't think so.
shot.
So good thing that they have a new stadium for Allen to show up in.
Shots fired.
I will comment on our man, Mr. Sharp. You know, we had talked to Nick Harris about what he thought of him tonight, and I'll just throw out there, he's throwing out a 72% completion number right now and 3 touchdowns and really taking control of this game and kind of won the battle between him and Jackson Berry.
Well, and he's also got 2 touchdowns on the ground as well.
Right.
He's got 5 total TDs, and he hasn't necessarily had to do a whole lot. You talk about the completion percentage so far for Sharp, 13 for 18. I mean, he hasn't thrown the ball.
Like just chunking it around the
he
yard.
hasn't thrown the ball a ton, and he's the leading rusher as well. But, I mean, look at Green. We saw him in that highlight film just very briefly. 4 receptions, 147 yards.
Yeah, my math is a little weak, but I think those are big plays, right?
Darn near 40 yards a catch.
So,
And I will say
It's
this:
pretty impressive.
he's got family in the house tonight. Seth Green, his older brother, played quarterback there a couple years ago
Okay.
in Minnesota. Our boy Nick Harris took a photo of Seth on the sideline tonight, so he's got family in the building and balling out with Big Bro in the house.
And then you talked about Jackson Berry there for just a split second, but
Right.
9 for 17 and
Yeah, that ain't gonna
104
cut it.
yards. No, especially against Allen. I mean, you knew that was going to be a tough task for Prosper, but I didn't expect them to struggle this much. And by the way, they just lost another fumble, so a turnover back to Allen. And so the Allen Eagles, I was about to just say the Eagles, but they're both the Eagles,
Right.
so you got to clarify.
Well, and we had talked about, again, Nick Harris, because he's at the game, and we talked in length about this game. I asked him about the physicality of Prosper up front. And, you know, they've got a pretty impressive offensive line this year, but just looking at a stat line, 27 rush attempts for 77 yards tonight. That's 2.9 yards a carry. That's not going to get it done. And,
Yeah.
and obviously, Allen has won the battle up front in the trenches from a defensive perspective.
Yeah, Allen has done this, and from we don't give their defense enough credit at all. And you look at the wins, you look at their point differential, how they're winning every week. Hadn't been any close games for Allen, and so I mean, it's just a continuation from last year. Zach Walchuk talks about it every time we go into Allen, and we try and dream up this.
And Zach's just deflated.
And he just sticks a pin in and goes,
And he
"Hey,
says
boys,
no.
that ain't gonna happen," And so I mean, he's proven to be right, because you look at the score. This is a matchup that we talked about for weeks, actually being
We
one
wanted
that Prosper could be competitive in, but 35-0.
Statement win.
Yeesh.
Well, so far to this point. So, unreal.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Prosper fans out there. And you see some of the highlights, that gorgeous new turf and Prosper ISD, just a magnificent facility. And we got to talk with Coach Schmidt in our Coaches Speak earlier with Brian Sutcliffe, who's on the call for this game, the voice of the Prosper Eagles. And, man, they're sharp, just making it look easy. Bouncing to the left, bouncing to the right. You see the magnificent crowd on hand for that football game as well. But treated to Allen's liking in that one. And like Mallory said, I mean, that's a lot of Allen fans to hold in that stadium. You see the packed house on the far sideline. But it's just tough for Prosper. Like you said, if you want to be Allen, you got to beat Allen.
You got to beat him at some point.
And it hasn't happened. And
What a catch!
that was impressive.
Wow, this kid just completely reached back for the ball. And
It's like
took off.
67 yards.
My
pass.
God, what a catch! We missed a beautiful catch.
Amazing.
But Allen. You're saying it, man. If you're gonna beat him, it's just one of those teams that head up. They're the most impossible matchup there is in the state.
Yeah, this was definitely a measurement game for Prosper, and this year it's just not the case. Maybe we got to look to next year and see as Prosper continues to build this thing.
Yeah, and there's still a long way to go for Prosper if they want. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
that's
this
the
is
case.
years of being
No
good
doubt.
for Allen. So you're not going to do that overnight.
It's not going to happen immediately, despite the facilities and the kind of. I mean, that's a long-term.
It's a long-term goal.
project,
Yeah.
to be able to reach something like that. But Allen does get the better half of Prosper tonight. We'll revisit that when it turns into a Friday final. We've got a close one, though, in Arlington tonight at how do you say that?
Wildman.
Wildman Field, yep.
Wildman Field,
Over at the
4-6A.
Yep.
How about that? Arlington Bowie only up by 5 against Lamar, hanging in there in a defensive battle, something that I didn't necessarily expect out of these two squads, which I probably should have, because even though each team puts up 40 points a game, both of them are in the teens in terms of the defensive points allowed as well.
Yeah, I mean, I see the numbers there. And what really shocks me is that the Vikings have 12 yards rushing. Right. And you talk about a team that is all about their rushing game. And to see that 12 yards up there, it tells me everything that I already know about Bowie. That, man, like I said, that you come out with a little bit less of yourself against Bowie. We thought this was going to be a good game coming into tonight. We thought it would be a little bit more high scoring than it is right now because of the speed for the Vikings. But to see this at 17-12, man, it's not over with.
Yeah, this Bowie defense has held Jack Dawson to negative 22 rushing yards this game. Yeah, and
That's tough to
So
do.
smothering them.
I mean, Jack Dawson, he's doing okay. He has 179 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So, I mean,
Well, on that one interception, you get into games like this, and interceptions, fumbles, any sort of turnover can be the difference and be a
Right.
huge
No doubt.
Yeah,
type of
and
play.
again, it just goes back to the fact that this game isn't over. It is as competitive as a game as you're going to see in that district, and so the night is still young for this one.
No doubt. And it's been back and forth as well. I mean, you started the game with a Jordan Castro 32-yard field goal. Then Blake Ford answered for Lamar, made it 3-3. Bowie took a 7-point lead off of a Sims touchdown run. Then Lamar answered with a West 20-yard pass, or a 20-yard reception, rather. And then a safety from Lamar, and then a touchdown from Bowie. So it's been back and forth all the way through. And, I mean, we've still got a whole other quarter left to play.
Yeah, it's just who lands the next punch.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that safety kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into it because it throws it off in terms of possession-wise, what's going to end up happening. So that could play a factor coming up in the coming moments of that one. But like I said, we'll revisit that in a little bit as well. Birdville at Colleyville Heritage. And this looked early like it was going to be Colleyville Heritage big. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, Birdville's kind of closed the gap a little bit after a hot start from Colleyville Heritage, but overall a good close game in District 4 5A as well.
I think this game's going to go back and forth, too. I mean, it's going to be right up to the last punch, like Guy said on the last one. I mean, it's just Colleyville was scored quickly in the first quarter, and then Birdville answered quickly.
Another
and it's
green
just,
bird team.
Yeah, I got confused looking at the logo. But then, back again with Colleyville scoring, and so it's just going to be back and forth, and it's going to take to the last
I will
second.
make this comment. We have a Ladarius Mixon sighting.
Well, how about that?
Now, it's not been anything huge.
But he's there.
9 for 23, but he is there. So that's
Right.
maybe something to keep in mind as we head into the playoffs.
But looking at Walker, I mean, Walker right now, 135 yards a touch. Stone Earl is doing it again, 192 yards in a touchdown. But listen, this is another game that we still got a lot of clock left in this one, and this is a rivalry game. Everyone, when we talked about the implications of this game, the winner having to, how this was going to go out, and
for
what was
second or third place.
Exactly.
Seeding.
So you don't want to be that team,
Right.
and I know that Colleyville definitely knows what's down the pipeline for them. So they got to get a win tonight. Birdville knows that their next game is versus Denton Ryan.
Right.
So that's let's say they're getting off the bus with an L.
Right. Yeah.
That game. I hate to do that.
We know his thoughts on next week.
No, and it's a joke in that because last year I picked them.
We've got a new score update here. How about that?
Wow.
Birdville takes a 1-point
There you go.
lead. Touchdown for
They
the
got to have
Hawks.
it.
Yeah.
They got to have it.
they
And
need
so
this win.
this is a competitive game. I expect when I talked about the game in the pregame show, I talked about Ash and Shabay being a part of that offense. They're putting in all the work. They both have Isaac Shabay has 2 touchdowns. Ash has 1. And so this game isn't over, and it's going to come down to the wire.
And just to clarify, Stoner Earl pass complete to Connor Welsh from 5 yards out for the touchdown, scoring on Colleyville Heritage. Now, a pretty important piece of information on that. They went for 2 to try and make it a 1 field goal lead, and instead they missed the extra point, or not the extra point. The 2-point conversion was failed.
Okay.
So it stays at 26-25. Birdville with a slight advantage on Colleyville Heritage in that one. Moving on to the TAPS level, Bishop Lynch trying to continue their hot streak after a big win last week against Prestonwood Christian, who's trying to rebound a little bit. Well, Bishop Lynch led this game early, was up 10-7 at the halftime break. Well, since the halftime break, Prestonwood has put it on Bishop Lynch, 20-10 the score, and the Friars all of a sudden being doubled up by the PCA Lions in this one.
Yeah, the Friars should be kicking themselves because of those 2 turnovers is what's
Huge.
changing this game for them. Prestonwood coming into this game knowing that they wouldn't have Switzer, they definitely had to get a win. But Bishop Lynch is one of those sneaky good teams that if you let them hang around, they'll score some points, okay?
And we got another live score update here for Friday Night Stars. Preston Wood Christian.
Well, I said something about being a sneaky good team that'll come back. I take that back.
Boom.
I'm just
let's crumple up that piece of paper and throw that out the window, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, I liked your point before the score.
It sounded pretty good,
Yeah,
man.
no, it was
It sounded
great.
pretty intelligent, but then the score changed. So, yeah, what were you saying again?
Well, in the comment on one of those turnovers, that it was a Lynch interception that then PCA took and eventually capitalized on with their own drive down the field with the Randall Holmes touchdown.
Yeah, looking at the yardage, I mean, 255 yards on the ground for them. They've been milking a lot of the clock, but then those turnovers, they take it all away from you when you do stuff like
well,
that.
when you try and cut the game in half and then you don't do anything with it,
There it is.
you leave yourself vulnerable.
Well, and I'll tell you one thing. Bishop Lynch has had a lot of their production come from one individual.
Oh, yeah.
That's Darius Boyd.
211 yards rushing.
211 on 32 carries.
He's going to need an ice bath.
That poor man. I mean, he's
That's an old school stat line.
That's a lot of running
That's a lot of running.
overall. And then got to give credit to Prestonwood not playing with Switzer in the ball game, so you're having to replace your quarterback. McGuire Martin has played admirably. Just a freshman, 8 for 14, 89 yards. He hasn't turned the football over, and as a freshman quarterback coming in and stepping in at a varsity level just to kind of survive against a really good team in Bishop Lynch. I mean, you got to just take care of the football. He's absolutely done
and that's probably what the PCA offensive staff asked of Mr. Martin tonight is, look, we don't expect
have
you
to
to
do
put up
anything
any
special.
all-star stat line.
Yeah.
Just manage the game, drive the bus, and get us home, basically. And it looks like they're relying on the Randall Holmes play and Timothy Taylor there on the ground as well. So those are the guys that are going to get them to the win tonight, and their defense as well. And McGuire's just got to drive the bus and get them to the promised land.
And unlike some of those other games that we were just talking about, that one not a whole lot of time left, underneath $1:30 remaining on the clock.
Yeah, the Friars just ran up all the clock.
Right. That
Leave
was
themselves no room.
That's a quick game. I mean, it's only 9:18, and we're looking at
Just
that
a little
one being a
over 2 hours.
final here in about a minute and a half. Kind of interesting overall.
Meet
Then
you at the
you've got-
Waterburger.
Yeah.
Let's go to Coppell and Flower Mound. And this is a pretty good football game, or it was early on. Coppell hung in there with Flower Mound throughout the first half, but since then, the Jags have found a rhythm. 20 points in the second quarter to go along with 14 unanswered since the halftime break, and all of a sudden, Flower Mound's broken it open.
Blake Short, we've been waiting on you.
Yep.
We have been waiting on Blake Short, man. 376 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Pierce Hutchins is doing his thing again.
Right.
88 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. This is the Flower Mound team that we have been waiting on all year long. And finally, I mean, we wanted it against Prosper. They didn't show up to do it. And I'm telling you, you talk about pick'ems. You're talking about somebody that's lost more pick'em games with Flower Mound. I would raise my hand
You and I
over here
both, yep.
because I have picked them because I know they're a well-coached team. I mean, look at it: zero turnovers, 460 yards total. Look, man, the Jags are for real, man.
And
2 penalties.
You talk about the Guy mentioned this during our last game, but saying the old school stat line, this is a new school stat line, 364 through the air.
This guy's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look at the play of Parker Clark tonight and Reed Touchstone. Clark is 6 for 181, which is 30 yards a catch, and Reed Touchstone is 7 for 153 that's 21 yards a catch. 3 touchdowns between the both of them. And that's just big splash plays killing Coppell tonight. And that's stuff you got to limit when you got a guy like Blake Short at the quarterback spot that you're going up against.
Well, and Pierce Hudgens as well. I mean, he's kind of had an up and down last couple of weeks as well, and he's been able to kind of bounce back today. Nothing crazy jump off the stats, but he's got 2 scores and 88 yards. I mean, that's something you look at.
And 33 yards receiving, so he's
That's a good
over
point.
100 yards total. That's a pretty good night for any guy.
And 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
So you've got that as well. I mean, that's what it all matters about overall. And you mentioned Clark. Did you give Clark's stat line a moment ago?
I did. Parker Clark, 6 for 181, 30 yards a catch, and he's also actually run the ball one time. Didn't do anything, but yeah, they've gotten him involved tonight.
That's an Evan Green stat line.
Better call his name.
Balling.
Yeah, balling might be a star of the night.
Yep, we'll keep that. We have to
keep
put
him
that
in
down.
mind.
Yeah, you got to put a check in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We'll come back later.
Just a little
We'll
bit.
see.
Okay.
What is Evan Green? We got to do. What is the Evan Green watch? She's playing against John Paul. I would like to get some numbers on that.
I'll look. I'll get it to you.
Thank you.
I'll figure it out. Not a game that's on our list, but just one that's kind of notable. With 3:06 left in the fourth quarter, Lovejoy and Denison
Really important.
tied
game.
up at 24.
Wow.
So that one's all knotted up, and that's pretty good. Lovejoy has the football at the Denison 45-yard line, 2nd and 1 at the moment. Denton Guyer taking care of business, 33-3 at the end of the third quarter over Byron Nelson.
Hey, revenge game.
It is a revenge game. That's a
Revenge
good
game.
point.
Remember last year, Byron Nelson beat them. Took a lot of air out of themselves going into the playoffs. And so you got to know, even with that young Byron Nelson team that has been underwhelming, well, that was a team that we were expecting to.
Yeah, it was a big Chiafalo team, I think.
Yeah, well, we thought they were going to do a lot better this year, and they just
0-8.
did not live up to the expectation. They played some games pretty close, but not where we thought they would be at this point in the season.
Growing pains. They only returned 8 guys that started last year, 3 on offense. So they were going to have their struggles. But they played with teams like the Colony at points during the season. So they've had their moments where they've kind of flashed, just not been able to finish games. But tonight it's been all Guyer. And Guyer needs that as they're gearing up for, hopefully, as a deep playoff run for the Wildcats.
Now, it's the same thing. Guyer is like a lot of these teams that have one loss, and everybody just kind of backed away from them because of the loss from South Lake Carroll.
Yeah.
Which is an
Lamar.
impressive loss.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
But you have to understand, Denton Guyer is as formidable as any team in North Texas. They are rolling people.
Yep.
Now, you have to give some credit to South Lake Carroll's coach. I mean, he came in with a strategy
Coach
that
Dodge.
we know him, right?
Yeah.
You guys, I figured
Nice
you'd
and
throw that
Played
in
for
there.
his dad, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm
Took
basically
over.
saying that the coaching job that he did in that game, because they threw a lot of things at Guyer that Guyer hadn't seen before. Guyer's got to clean up some of those penalties that they were getting, but you know what they're doing in the running game. You know how brutal they are in the trenches and the offensive and defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
This is still a team that is for real, and people need to not take them for granted.
And we're still going to do our playoff pick'ems and everything, but Denton Guyer most likely is going to go D2. I think, or
They
they
are
already locked in
D2.
D2.
They're pretty
Okay,
much locked in.
I
so locked
like
in
that.
D2.
I like that.
There's
I
a
like
lot
that.
of potential there for the
looking
Guyer
at
Wildcats.
this is my projections. I think some of this may change tonight, but I had them with Hebron for the first round, then potentially a Cedar Hill matchup in the second round.
Ooh,
Now, some
that's
of that could
juicy.
change after tonight, but that was my
Now, they already beat
projections.
Cedar Hill.
Yes, they did. They played
Yeah,
them in the
they did.
Cotton
Cotton
Bowl.
Bowl.
Week
You're right.
2, I believe. Great
Weird
game down
Saturday
to the wire.
morning game.
It was a
Yeah.
weird 10 a.m. game. It was a game where Stowers kind of got to really show himself for his second week in a row
Exactly.
after beating Aledo
Yeah.
and kind of put himself on the map as this is my team and this is
Now, were you
what
at
we're
that
here to
game?
stay. I was, and I was heading down to Austin for Texas LSU.
Now, a lot of people say that game was close, but based off of the stat line, I didn't see a
Really
close game, really.
Stowers and them had to make something happen at the end with the final drive to win it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
By the way, a final here that's a little surprising. Frisco Liberty takes down #1 Lone Star. No, I'm just kidding.
Boy,
Lone Star,
don't do that.
Lone Star,
What?
Lone Star defeats.
Yeah.
Lone
was
Star
about to
defeats
make
Frisco Liberty 66-6. Kind of what we thought overall.
Now, how about Nick Harris
kinda
coming in
interesting
here,
that that's the-
talking about Shadow Creek and
Well, 'cause
all
Shadow
that?
Creek, they
Come
won
on,
50 to
man. Are
3
you
last night or
serious? Do you
whatever.
really think that Shadow?
Against a better team.
Well, 52-3 against a better team.
A way better team.
And then you just saw Lone
Sorry,
Star
Liberty.
Punk, and no offense to the Red Hawks, but
No.
Punk, the worst team in the district.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
The only team that's eliminated from
now,
playoff
I have
contention.
always said, and this goes back to Duncanville and some of these other schools, when you play a team like that, you do what you're supposed to do, and that's
Right.
beat them, right? They did that, so I'm not taking anything away from Lone Star. But Shadow Creek last night played a pretty good high-tower team and beat them 52-3, whatever the final score was.
This comes from the guy whose team was up 72-0 over Brian
Sunset.
Adams.
Thank
last-
you.
Sunset at
Sunset
halftime
last
last
week.
week.
Yeah, whatever.
He's talking about.
Yeah, so no, I'm not dogging
He's
them.
all about the eye test. It's
but
what it
I'm
is.
saying this. And
66
when we
nothing's a
talk
good eye
about,
test.
we're
I mean, it's
we're
your
looking at the
job.
point now where we're at the point in the season now where we're starting to have our dream matchups, right? Shadow Creek is one of those teams that we know coming out of South Texas.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they're going to be up here. They're going to come and they're going to face Frisco if that matchup happens.
Yep.
You're
Yikes.
talking about great defense for Shadow Creek, subpar, okay,
Pretty good offense. It just sometimes inconsistent.
Well, that's the trouble.
when they're-
That's
when
where they're
they're-
in trouble. If they are inconsistent on offense, I'm telling you, it's some goons over here that's going to make that even more inconsistent.
When they're good though, and they'll show up when it matters.
What?
I always pray for the big games. That would be a good game if it was to happen.
I'm telling you, Lone Star is going to beat the brakes off of Shadow Creek, man. Okay.
Let's mark that. Let's cut that.
Let's mark that.
That's now,
Beat
that's
and
now
brakes.
I'll put that on Twitter and say
That'll
at
be
Shadow
next week,
Creek,
yeah.
and there'll be a little bulletin board material.
Well, they can use it. Write it down.
By the way, we do have another Friday final for one of our games. We just talked about it. Prestonwood Christian Academy takes down Bishop Lynch. Final score 26-10 as we take one final look at this one. Prestonwood able to rebound. Bishop Lynch going in maybe a little bit too hot after their big win over Bishop Dunn last week. And then Prestonwood gets the win today by a couple of scores in that one. So just kind of went through it, but wanted to hit that final score. And it is, like you said, a big bounce-back win after they really fell in emphatic fashion last week. Quick update. Arlington Lamar is now taking a 1-point lead over Bowie.
I knew I should have gone with Lamar. When Mallory went against her own family, that was the omen right there.
That was when
you don't do that live on the. I should have.
It was Heckma's opportunity to become part of the Hartley family. And say, hey,
I didn't take the opportunity. I had it right there. I was like,
there's still 7.5 minutes left, and Bowie, Bowie will be okay. I mean, I'm not saying that they'll win at this moment because they're losing, but
we got a good one.
I mean,
we
that's
did
a good
say it was
football
going to be
game.
a close game, so we were right about that at least. You know?
Yeah,
you're going to be locked out of the house, man.
Oh, I know.
Especially if they lose in a close one.
Oh, yeah. I'm never going to live it down.
Well,
There's
and they're
no
both
way.
doing it in completely opposite ways. We kind of had referenced Lamar's issues to run the ball tonight, but Bowie hasn't exactly, impressed anybody through the air. It's been a little bit of a hard night for Dravon Ponder at quarterback, and I don't know. That's a good connection between Ponder and my boy Jimmy Valson, big-time receiver there over at Bowie that's kind of broken onto the scene this year, and I thought they might, have a big night tonight, and that hadn't happened.
Well, we do have a classic brewing just down the road in the Colony, guys.
Yes, we do.
Oh, man.
Yes,
this has been
we
a good
do.
football game back and forth. The Colony and the Frisco Independence Knights tied up at 24 in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left. Take a look. That's just a little bit behind. Excuse me. 24-21. Independence just tacked on a field goal a couple moments ago. And with that being said, Independence down early. I mean, they were down 21-7 in this football game early on as the score updates on the screen. And then after that, they've scored 3 of the last 4 touchdowns times in the game, taking that one and tied it right back up at 24.
How about that? 35-yard field goal from Reggie Bush. No relation to, I can say that, right?
Yes, yeah, we've
you can
confirmed
say it
that.
now.
Okay.
Great name, though.
It is a great name.
It's a good name to have playing football.
He's a sophomore, too. And he runs, he kicks, he returns kicks.
Reggie.
He does a lot of it.
So
I think he plays a little defense, too.
Okay.
I think he's all over the place.
Is it Reggie or Reginald?
No, it's Reggie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's Reggie Bush.
So he's their Will Harbor, kind of.
A little bit, yeah. That's a good
Okay.
point.
Swiss
Yeah.
Army knife.
Not the Cavs aren't there.
The Cavs aren't there?
Not for Reggie Bush yet. He's a little bit thin.
Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, he's still got a good build, and he could grow into it. But 10 unanswered points for Independence here in the fourth quarter. Zylil McMillan, the lethal wideout, catches a 29-yard pass from Braylon Braxton. That brought him back within 3, and then that 35-yarder from Reggie Bush.
Braylon Braxton already has 266 yards in this game, 3 touchdowns. He's balling out.
Yeah.
This game.
And also,
He is
I
so
mean,
good.
Wafer not to be the leading receiver is not something that we're used to seeing because typically he's the guy at the top of the stat sheet anyway. So him and McMillan trading places tonight.
Well, and McMillan's been a formidable guy throughout the entire year, and I think they're kind of different receivers. I mean,
Absolutely. But the big play ability has been Wafer.
Yes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And McMillan's kind of that underneath guy. Well, it's been flip-flopped. I mean, Wafer has 7 receptions. He's getting his targets, but he only has 67 yards compared to McMillan, who has scored in half of the times he's caught the football. The 2 touchdowns and 4 receptions. Now, with that being said, Independence just being able to come back, well, they're in a tough spot right now. Or actually, I take it back. The Colony just started from their 25-yard line, and Miles Price, they tried to run a reverse and he got stopped behind the line of scrimmage 5 yards. So it's already 3rd and 15 for the Colony. So Independence might get that football back.
Now, in a 24-24 game, 5 minutes left, this is going to come down to who can get a stop. I know who cannot get a stop.
The Colony.
Right?
But who did you bring up before
point.
the game as a key part of this? It was Independence defense.
That's it. And so that's the part that we're looking for. I mean, I've seen Independence enough to see them be competitive, not so much from the Colony.
Okay.
Independence front seven is where their strength
Right.
lies. I mean, they've got a couple guys on that defensive line who can make an impact. They've got a very veteran-laden
Yes.
defensive line, and that's going to help you out in a moment like this. The secondary, a little susceptible sometimes. They do have a guy like KJ Price on the outside
Right.
for Independence who can play quite well out there and can really keep up with anybody. Now, he has not been matched up with
Miles
Price.
Of course.
They actually have put Princeton Ferguson on Miles Price to kind of keep up with that speed.
No, but-
Same guy who shut down Marvin Mims for 3 quarters in that game a little bit ago, or a couple weeks ago.
He shut down Marvin Mims when?
For 3 quarters.
And then Marvin Mims went for one.
Marvin Mims got his.
Oh, okay.
Marvin got his.
Wait a minute, you talking about the 175
I
Marvin
will
Mims?
tell you, though, personally, that's the best I've seen Marvin Mims covered in his time in Lone Star.
But they're not
What
covering
Princeton
him.
Huff-
No one is covering Miles Price by themselves. Like, no one is covering.
Well, it's not like it's just Miles either. They've got Keith Miller.
No, but what I'm saying is, you're not that. The kid that we're talking about, he's not on an island.
No, yeah.
No, he's got help.
someone over
Yeah.
the
He's got
top
backside
cloud.
help,
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
So that's what I'm saying. So when you make a comment like that, you make this guy sound like Revis. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
And there's been a lot of smack talk back between these two
Of
on
course.
Twitter over the last couple days leading up
There's
to
a
this.
bunch of people going after Marvin.
Yeah.
And Marvin's just
The
kind of.
Tejadas, did you see that?
They
I wasn't
did.
going
What's
to
up
bring up a
with
name,
that?
but yeah.
I'm sorry.
But,
I
well,
wasn't supposed to.
I don't know. But, they are in the building tonight.
Oh, they are.
They're playing next door.
How about that? Is that? And
But
Marvin
I-
has to say fake news.
Yeah, Marvin said fake news.
Wow.
That was
And a
pretty
lot
good.
of people backed him on that. So Marvin's good. I think that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
He's very good, and he's a smart kid too.
He is.
I mean, he's going to Stanford.
He's going to
for
Stanford.
a reason,
Yep.
but because he's good at football, but he's also just a smart.
He's a
smart guy
true
overall.
student athlete.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. Let's go across that hall to Frisco, Wakeland, and Centennial, as this one's gotten a little bit closer. Wakeland leading 35-21. The score in that one as we see some of the highlights from early on. And this was back and forth to start things out. And Wakeland actually getting up in that third quarter is really when they distanced themselves. They scored with 40 seconds left after a 14-14 score going into the half. Wakeland had a 60-yard touchdown pass that made it 21-14. Then in the third quarter, Wakeland puts up 14 unanswered to take a 35-14 lead. Well, Centennial just now scored, and it was one of those Tejadas. It was Ridge Tejada, a 2-yard touchdown run to make it 35-21, the score in the middle of the fourth quarter. And by the way, we're looking at this on the other screen at the moment, but Centennial just recovered an onside kick. So they're not done just yet at all, but a high-flying game back and forth. A little bit surprised at the offense that we saw in this, and got some great looks from Chance Williams across the hall as well.
Yeah, it's a good competitive game here at the start tonight. I will say if Wakeland can find a way to finish this thing out with a win, they then get Liberty next week. So they've got a chance to finish 2-0. If they do that, they pretty much lock up that 4 spot. And they would have wins over Heritage and Centennial, who they're playing with for that 4 spot.
Now, I did mention this. We walked across the hall and kind of took a quick look at this game. But, Mallory, you and I were even talking about this as well, saying, hey, Frisco Centennial, I'm surprised that Wakeland wasn't necessarily taking advantage. Now, Wakeland did end up having those scores after we left, to be fair. But at the same time, I was surprised Wakeland was actually kind of being kept up with by the Titans overall.
Yeah, I mean, give the Titans credit. I mean, that whole bottom part there is just kind of pesky and competitive for the most part,
it's those
minus Liberty.
2 turnovers. I mean, it's really, I think it's really hurting them. 2 interceptions by Grayson Darius. I assume that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really taken a toll on them tonight. Haven't been able to recover really.
And there's that live look in at the Ford Center as take a look across the hall, and always love getting a great look just a couple seconds behind the action across the way. But with just 4 minutes and 10 seconds remaining on the clock, Centennial driving on the other side of the field, but a crucial 3rd and 6 here. Let's see if they can convert it before we move on to some of our other games. Looking up the middle, long throw, overthrow.
Not so much.
Big 4th and 6 coming up for the Titans.
4th down territory here.
Yeah, you've got to go for it here. I mean, if you're in onside kick territory, you're in 4th down territory at the same time. So,
well, it's a must-win.
That's
well.
true.
So,
you gotta get right up there. There's no.
Wakeland gets this win, they're sitting pretty. So, Centennial's got to, unload the chamber and go for it all here.
Yeah, that's pretty overall. But you look at Wakeland and the Wolverines. I mean, they've lost 3 of their last 4. Lost to Lone Star in that emphatic loss, 55-14. They rebounded in what looked to be a really impressive win over Little Elm. Here's that 4th and 6, by the way. Looking up the middle, Centennial for the ball game. Ooh, dumping it off. Good defensive play.
He was trying to get there, did not get it.
Almost got there.
What a play. What a play. I mean, he was supposed to have been stopped 5 yards from there.
Well, that was an impressive win over a Little Elm team that was still in the mix for this 4 spot until last night when they lost to Heritage.
Yeah.
So when Heritage beat Little Elm last night, that pretty much shut that door and made it a 3-way race for the most part, with Independence kind of flirting with that.
I was really
thing,
surprised by that loss at Little Elm last night. I really was. Because I thought Little Elm had a better defense.
Yeah. Led by Ryan Watts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's a 2-way star. But still, I just expected Little Elm. If they needed a victory, for them to lose that one last night to Heritage was really surprising.
Well, Heritage is streaking. That's 2 wins in a row, and they're getting them when they need it. So
there you go. And overall, Wakeland now gets the ball back. Centennial does have a couple of timeouts remaining, so we'll see if they're able to at least get one more shot at cutting into that 14-point lead. Let's go ahead and take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We've been going for about 37 minutes. It's crazy how
that's it.
Crazy how quick time flies by. Overall, whenever we're running through some of these scores, but we're going to step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, we'll look at games like Lake Dallas, Denton Braswell battling it out. Garland Lakeview Centennial, are they going to be playoff bound? We'll talk about those games and more. Also, we'll take a look at Highland Park in Lancaster when we return here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Vice President with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
Hey, I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we want fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score, because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never, ever frozen chicken fingers, craveable cane sauce, crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
Back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars, Week 10 Overtime Edition. Glad you're with us. Kyle Yeomans, Mallory Hartley, Heckma Harrison, and Guy Frazier in the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star in Frisco. By the way, Independence taking a lead, 31-24 over the Colony in that one. That's big for Mallory and Heckma.
We know who won't get a stop.
Colony defense.
Man, there are going to be some people in the Colony looking for him.
Man, you know, I ain't hard to find. I'm the biggest thing in the room most of the time, so, you know, it ain't nothing.
Not wrong about that one.
There's only a minute left in that game as well, so it's starting to get danger zone territory for the Cougars. What did he do? He wiped the brow?
Yeah. Oh.
He over here spitting bars. So.
Were you?
Yeah, he said something about it rhymed. It came off the tongue well.
That's okay. You got to be me to do it right. You know,
big time.
I wouldn't have done it credit or done it justice. So
it's all right.
Now, I do have to ask, Mallory, this is your first time sitting next to Heckma for an extended period of time. Are you at the Zach Wolchuk level yet?
No, I actually like Heckma. I'm enjoying his humor. He brings a lot of humor to the show, and I like it.
What you say? Like Heckma.
I do.
What was that
dance? He's feeling himself right now.
You tried to.
Did you take a drink of this Red Bull?
I did not. I did not. It's just that's what happens when I'm not next to Chuck.
You glow.
I glow.
You glow a little bit.
Yes. I don't have his venom.
By the way,
on me.
I didn't share this in the first show, but whenever we opened it up and you talked about kissing the frog and then turning into Mallory for Zach.
Yes.
Having that whole upgrade over there.
Yes.
Well, he texted me right after that and he goes, "Wow, that was really rude."
Of course.
Rude of Heckma. He was a little hurt by that.
Was he?
He was a little hurt.
He doesn't care.
Good. I meant it to her.
Right.
Yes. It was a dig. Like I was hoping. Like,
yeah. Well, you got him.
Good.
You got him. No doubt
Good
about
job.
that. Let's move on to some of these Friday finals or not even Friday finals yet. We'll get to those here in just a moment as well. Garland Lakeview Centennial.
Told you.
And Rowlett Lakeview Centennial. Big time over Rowlett at the moment. 32-13 the score in that one. And well, that defense has shown out so far for Lakeview Centennial in what has been a crucial matchup inside 10-6A.
Now, in years past, Rowlett would be the team with the defense that you say that's the defense that showed up and shut everything
all
down.
All types of guys in the past.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are known for what they do in Rowlett on defense. This kid, Kamar Wheaton, we talked about him in the pregame show, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is a difference maker. Now, look, I don't know what this means as far as seeding is concerned. That's why I'm looking at you, guy. I'm hoping you're going to tell me a little something.
So after last night, everything's kind of shaken out that the 4 teams are figured out who's going to be making the playoffs. So it's going to be Wiley, Saxe, Centennial, and Rowlett.
Okay.
The important thing out of this game was what Rowlett did with it. If they won this game, and then next week they'd have a chance to play Saxe for the Avoid Allen Bowl, right? At this point, if I do remember correctly, Rowlett now, I think, is going to be stuck playing Allen. Doesn't matter what happens.
Does that mean they're being served up?
I think so. Maybe you can back
Is that
me on
what
that.
you call that?
I believe so.
Well, I think that's correct. So this would be a big Lakeview Centennial win tonight, just from getting just a
out of the way
win and out of the way. And then Rowlett now is kind of stuck in a bad spot.
Yeah, and if you're Rowlett, oh man, this is a tough one to swallow overall. And 3 turnovers. Yeah, it's
I was
big.
about to say that.
And we can talk about Kamar Wheaton because it's deserved, but look at what the Patriots defense has done as well tonight. 160 total yards way into the fourth quarter at this point, and
yeah, that's the biggest
getting the job done.
Yeah, that's the biggest point of it is what they're doing on defense. I mean, but still, Lakeview, if they want to go far in the playoffs, they're going to have to clean up some of these penalties. 16 penalties, 113 yards. That's not going to get it done. So they're definitely going to have to. And they're capitalizing on the 3 Rowlett Eagle turnovers. So.
That's a lot of penalties.
A ton.
That is a lot. They almost have as many penalty yardage as Rowlett has in total yardage.
That's a nice observation there,
Yeah,
Kyle.
see that a lot.
Number. Yeah.
You graduated top of your class, didn't
Thanks, man. Honors.
Genius.
Thanks.
God,
You and I are fighting after the show.
I can't wait.
It's usually me and Heckman.
I know it's
I'm,
me.
I'm giving you the
Heck
night
was-
off. I'm giving you the night off.
Heck
I like
was-
it.
Yeah, he's misdirecting it. By the way, this is kind of surprising. I think Lamar just locked it up.
Did they really?
They did. They just scored again.
It's another score
Look at
for the
that.
Lamar Vikings.
I am
Vikes.
happily wrong on this prediction.
The f-
I chose Bowie, and I am glad.
No.
The Fighting Harley.
Mallory,
Get back down now.
Can I not?
No, Mallory,
You
not gonna
might
let you
be
do
the
that.
reason
no,
they won the game.
No.
I could be. I gave my brother motivation. You know, I doubted him, and he works well under that. So
Now we're officially going to have to call your brother in the second hour of the
Boy,
show.
it's gonna be a
It's
long
happening.
weekend in the Hartley household.
and we're going on vacation together this weekend. So I'm not looking forward to it.
Rewind the tape, Hartley
gonna be a
family.
long go.
I'll let
Rewind
you guys
the
know how it
tape.
goes. It's not going to go well.
32-17. Lamar breaking it open with
Can't
just
believe it.
a
Late
couple
surge.
seconds left. Yeah, huge late surge. I mean, they were down 17-12 in the middle of that third quarter. Well, that fourth quarter has been kind to the Vikings.
Jack Dawson found a way.
Yeah, how'd they get it done? What's happened here?
Well, they turned around, and I know they scored on a they kicked a field goal after they took that 18-17 lead, because it was 18-17 when we last looked at it, correct?
Right.
Well, they kicked a field goal, made it 20.
117?
They scored a touchdown first.
Okay.
And they had a Jack Dawson 3-yard touchdown run, and then they turned around in a 50-yard pick six for not Hartley. Javion Moore.
I almost.
I know you were getting really excited.
I was.
But, no, it was Javion Moore with the 50-yard INT in the pick six in that one.
You know, in the pregame show, I really hyped up Draven Ponder. I mean, he was supposed to be a really big impact player in this game, and he only had 65 yards and no touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
That one you can peg on your brother.
I'm going to
spread
ask
the
him,
Lamar defense.
Yeah, that
there.
whole defense overall. This one, by the way, has officially gone to a Friday final, 32-17.
Good
Lamar
quality.
crashing the party in 4-6-A.
That is a quality
Hang on now. Don't forget
victory.
about us. Yeah.
Wow.
Quality.
That's a big win. Now,
Lamar's got Arlington next week.
we get our fun scenario in this district next week,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Because Martin destroyed Pascal tonight, so that's kind of what we thought.
No way. Fort Worth Pascal didn't win.
No, they didn't.
I am so shocked.
Wow, you were a savage, man.
Oh my God.
Baseball's their strength.
That
okay.
is very
Baseball,
fair.
yeah.
They're really
Good
good at
baseball
baseball.
school.
No one can compete with them. in
No, they
baseball,
are
but-
extremely good at baseball. By the way, we'll talk about this later. It has to do with Zach Wolchuk. Anyways, so
Plano Senior High.
they lost. They got shut out by
So-
McKinney Boyd.
So the McKinney scenario is in play.
They got me.
We'll talk about this later. Let's talk about this Lamar game first. Let's
Okay.
talk about this Lamar game. Because Lamar has now won. So Bowie defeated
Arlington.
well, no, I'm thinking somewhere else. I'm mixed up here.
Let's
Martin.
look at it
Okay,
real
so
quick.
Martin defeated Lamar.
Yes.
And Lamar defeated Bowie. So if Bowie takes down Martin next week,
you have a three-way
then you've got a
tie.
3-way tie up atop of that district.
Yeah.
We've got our fun matchup next week: Arlington Bowie and Martin facing each other in that one. So
Lamar and
what could-
Arlington play next week too, so that'll be
Big rivalry
Ooh,
game.
that's
yeah.
right.
So that's going to be a really 2 good games
Now,
for.
take me in the
4-6-A.
AISD there. They play for a trophy in that game? Is that any type of like
No.
a special game? I just know it's a rivalry. Okay.
It is, yeah. It's a big rivalry game.
But and this is probably getting off topic a little bit, but I've always been curious about this. Who are the big rivals in that district? Do they just all hate each other, or are there specific rivals in between the districts?
Well, it's kind of like, they're all the top 4 schools, Bowie, Martin, Lamar, and Arlington, they're always at the top of 4-6A. There's no competition in that district.
Yeah.
But, the biggest rivalry is Arlington and Martin. They've been playing forever, and that's the biggest rivalry of that district.
Okay.
But it's kind of like, they're all rivals, but it always seems like it's Bowie, Lamar, and Arlington. They all gang up on Martin. Martin's just kind
That's
of
what it's been.
No one likes Martin.
Well, Martin's kind of
Yeah.
isolated. They're in Southwest Arlington, kind of doing their own thing. So
Yeah,
A little bit different.
it's a little bit different.
Martin is the one team that I've taken note of this year. They're a very dangerous team.
Oh, they're super
yeah.
good.
They can win any way you want.
Zach Mandel is
They do a
incredible.
lot. They're the kind of team that if you have them on your schedule, you see them for the playoffs. They're just dangerous. I mean, we've seen games with them, stat sheet wise, where it makes no sense that they've won by 30 points.
Right. Well, they find all types of ways to win.
Yeah.
Special teams,
That's
defense, and that's
every
exactly what you're
way,
talking
every
about.
way possible. Ugly win, however you want to do it, they can do it. I mean, I'm shocked by this. Arlington Martin was a team that we talked about at the beginning of the season, and Jack Dawson and his speed and what he does. They obviously after their Martin loss, everybody just kind of jumped off the bandwagon and said, "Oh, Lamar's done," And Bowie, with all of the street cred that they've been getting by beating teams in that district, and then coming into this one losing to a good Vikings team that defense obviously held them when we were thinking that that offense was primed and ready to go, but not so much. I don't think that we were looking for Arlington Lamar's defense to do what they did tonight.
Right.
What just happened?
Something happened.
Chris Beam gave me an update. We are going to overtime between Independence and the Colony, but I'm not. That's not what I'm freaking out about. We'll talk about that. What I'm freaking out about here in a moment. Let's take a look at this. Independence and the Colony tied up at 31. Over 400 yards on both sides of this football game, and it's been through the air. I mean, like we talked about earlier, Harrington and Braxton, the two quarterbacks going back and forth in this one. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, this is, I said, I kind of, looking for a defense to get a stop. Obviously, Independence couldn't get a stop either. So it's fitting that this is an overtime game. Now, you got to tell me what you just did that for. Something just happened, and you got to tell us.
Something just happened, and it's not on one of our games. We won't have a full screen graphic for it, but this is something that is historic in high school football for multiple reasons.
Plano West.
35-17 was the score at the start of the fourth quarter with 7 minutes and 36 seconds left. Wyatt Johnson scores with 4:14 left. Danny Davis scores with 49 seconds left, makes it a 35-30 game, and then Plano West recovers an onside kick, and 10 seconds later they score on a 10-yard touchdown
Plano
pass.
West won?
Plano West has a 1-point lead with 20 seconds remaining in the football game.
Plano West, you got to do it for us, Plano West.
The streak could be
Come
ending
on,
tonight.
Plano West. We're all Plano West tonight.
And that's a streak that goes back to 2016.
They have not won a game
Do
since
you know how hard it
2016.
is to go to practice every day with a 3-year losing streak?
They haven't won a game since they beat McKinney 38-21 on September 22nd, 2016.
Come on, Plano West.
Oh, wow.
We're all Plano West
We're all
tonight.
Wolves
yeah.
fans.
Do you know how many games that is at the moment?
I can, if you give me a
if
second,
you
I can count
you
it
would
up.
have to count, but I've lost track, which is how long it's been.
Gosh.
But they score with 23 seconds
Come on,
left,
Plano West.
and they're up 36-35. They went for two, did not get the 2-point conversion. So Plano East has an opportunity now to kick a field goal and rip the hearts out of all Plano
How many
West
seconds?
fans.
How many seconds?
8 seconds, it looks like.
And they went all the way to the Plano West 44.
34 games.
34
Wow.
games. That's a long time.
No, they're where now?
44-yard line. They're almost in field goal range.
God, come
8 seconds left.
Plano West, what are you doing?
Now, field goal kicking can kind of get a little sketchy in high school football. So
You're not
Yeah.
wrong.
they're sitting in okay
Well, you said
spots
no
still.
one has a Dan Bailey.
Well, there are some good kickers.
Should I say that? I shouldn't say Dan Bailey.
But
I'm so sorry.
I
I
couldn't
It's
did.
Brett
tell you.
Maher now.
Brett Maher,
Brett
my
Maher
bad.
is
How many?
what
But
it
the
is.
distance is important. Now, if it's 35 yards, we're in trouble. But if it's 70 yards,
you're great.
Right.
You're golden. It's
Anyway, I'm sorry. Bringing up old stuff.
the Maher righty does not go underneath 60.
Okay.
That's what it is. 8 seconds remaining in that one. Fourth quarter. And all Plano West has to do is
Man,
get
I'm
a
on
stop.
pins and needles over here.
They've got to get
I
a
wanna
stop.
watch it.
I know.
I
there's-
need to watch this.
Nobody really struggles Plano West and
37
Plano
games
East.
of losing.
Now, you think Wolchuk will be happy for these boys if they get this
Yes.
win?
He's going to be
Yes.
sad regardless because Plano lost 28
No,
to
he's
nothing.
going to be happy.
You think?
He's going to be happy, and he's happy that it's happening versus East too.
Oh, that's
That's
true
true.
because
That's
it's
true.
Professor Diggs.
Yeah, that's-
unfortunate for Professor Diggs.
Boy, and you know Diggs is sitting at that game right now just
Diggs is at the
besides
game?
himself. Oh, he doesn't miss an East game.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
besides
Diggs.
himself.
I'm so-
Now, unless they win, then he just He skates out of there with by the hair of his chinny chin.
Boy, I tell you what, Diggs, this is a bad loss.
We have a final yet?
Not yet.
I don't
Keep
see it
refreshing
yet.
it, but
Which might be one of the telltale signs that something crazy might have just happened.
No, don't say that. Because I'm telling you, we've talked about Plano West from the beginning and saying that this is a team that has to get a victory. What?
it's 2nd and 10, 3 seconds left, still on the 44.
Oh, so they get one
Plano,
more shot.
Yeah, they got one more shot.
One
Trying
more
to get
shot
a
at
little bit
the end
closer into
zone.
field goal range.
One last shot for the Pesh Panthers.
That's tough.
You know, it's great for West, but you don't want to be the team that was on the other end of that
No,
streak.
you don't.
You know?
No, I mean, but look, here's the thing. Tonight, they partying in Plano.
Oh, yeah.
West Plano.
Yeah, these boys
sure.
right off Tollway
knows
to be
how to
having a good
party,
time.
okay?
Yeah.
I'll be Plano West win. I'm going to Plano West High School. I'm going to kick it
You
with
go in
them.
the water?
They'll be at the
Let's go,
Whataburger.
yeah.
That's
we
what it's
gotta
going to
do
be.
it. We got to
There's
do
gonna
it,
be
man.
triple
What a
cheese.
victory.
Open invite. Everybody at
Yeah.
Plano West, just come up here. We'll,
Come on, man.
We'll have a
That
party with you.
is awesome. That is awesome. They got to get this victory, man. It's going to break my heart if something happens in
Well,
3
that's
seconds.
just good for the school.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that brings camaraderie and school spirit back a little bit, even if it's just one win.
God, can you
It gets
imagine
you
a
off.
pep
Exactly.
rally? Can you imagine a
Yeah.
pep rally? You lost 37 games in a row.
Yeah, I mean,
what are your
what
pep
are you
rallies
even
like?
going for? You know, like-
the Spanish teacher is there, like, I hope you win.
Hey, good luck, guys.
Shout out to all Spanish teachers, by the way.
Yeah, you're a big fan, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Yeah, and Diggs tweeted out 23 seconds. Plano West 36, Plano East 35. He looks sad on Twitter.
Does he?
Yeah, he looks very sad on Twitter. And we're fans of him. So we're with you,
feel
Matt
for him.
Diggs, but we are also Plano West fans tonight, just because of the losing
We
streak.
got to know when
Just
that one goes
Entering,
down.
just tonight. Entering the season, they had the third longest losing streak in the state of Texas. Entering the year 26 straight. Now it's up to 34, of course. That could be ending in the next 3 seconds of gameplay. Still waiting on the final to come across. Now, they did have the second longest losing streak in 6A. There was an El Paso school that had lost
El Paso
37. Socorro?
Okay.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Socorro.
It's final.
Is it over?
Plano East won. Plano West. I'm sorry.
Oh, Mallory, what is going on? What is it?
Everybody
Way-
that's in West Plano
way to
right
go!
now just dropped, and they came right back up.
I'm fired. Just
Well,
get me
Plano
out. Like,
West.
it's done.
Plano West. Plano West.
Finally.
Plano West. All right. Plano West got it
Do we have
done.
a
That is
turnover chain
awesome.
tonight?
I've got it
It's for
somewhere.
West.
It's for Plano West.
That's
They get
awesome.
it done. 34, and they got it on an interception. They picked off the final play.
That
of the
is
ball
awesome.
game.
Wow.
That's an exclamation
There you
point.
go.
That is awesome, man.
That is incredible.
I think that. I'll hold off. That might be my star of the night, though.
It might be for really. It should be
Everybody.
for the show.
Yeah.
It might be just the show's Friday night star because that's
Way to
impressive.
go, Plano West.
Plano West ends a 34-game losing streak with a 36-35
We talked.
win.
Hey,
That's
we said
exciting.
that. We have been pulling for those guys from the beginning.
All
We said it,
year
man.
long.
These guys got to get a. They've got to get a victory on our watch, and they got it.
I mean, they
got
looked
it done.
good. They had 418 total yards in this
Yeah.
game. I mean,
And a
Only-
balanced effort, too. Well, somewhat balanced. They got it actually done through the air. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
They looked
You're
good.
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was a great win for them. They're going to
party
be
time.
celebrating that for.
Shoot, Danny Davis, their
Till the end of the
quarterback,
season.
21 to 35 tonight, 279, 3 touchdowns, no picks,
Danny Davis
18 yards on the ground with another touchdown.
going to a top 5.
Man, Danny's gonna be big time this next week at school.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Big Shot on campus,
Danny,
man.
big shot Davis.
Way to go, Danny Davis, Plano West. That is an amazing victory, guys. We got we can't say enough about that. 34-game losing streak. They get the win tonight. Way to go, Plano West.
Special moment.
Yeah. And Zach Wolchuk, unfortunately, is not here to
Celebrate
help
with
it
us.
out. And celebrate.
He's just going to be a grump if he was.
Well,
That's
yeah,
all.
because like I said, let's talk about this since we're on the Plano schools and we're just kind of off topic a little bit. Plano lost to McKinney Boyd 28-0 tonight. That's a McKinney Boyd squad who we thought Plano West could have beaten earlier in the year. Well, that sets up, like you said, kind of an intriguing
situation
for that district for McKinney, who had a big win over Jesuit today.
Right.
And let's go ahead. That's our next game that we're going to talk about. I mean, Jesuit takes down, McKinney takes down Jesuit 24-21, thanks to 10 points in the fourth quarter in order to take the win. Jesuit, who had looked to found a rhythm over the last couple of games. I mean, you talk about their big win over Prosper. Yeah, they lost to Allen, but everybody loses to Allen. And then you take down Plano. You expect to win these last two games against McKinney and Plano East, but now with Jesuit losing today, Guy, like you said, it kind of shakes things up overall in 9-6A.
Yeah, I think the one program that was kind of in a shaky spot was Plano. Now, they did beat McKinney a couple weeks ago, but the deal was if Plano was to lose out and McKinney was to win out, which we got half of that equation done tonight,
already done,
then Plano's sitting in a bad spot. McKinney might end up being your fourth team in the playoffs for that district.
Yeah, Samson Nazarko tonight for Boyd. Yeah, McKinney, he did it. I mean, 306 yards, two touches. Also, Carver, the running back, 120 yards and a touchdown. And I cannot pronounce this name, guys. Z-Seed. Come on, Zariah. Is that Zariah Seed?
I don't have it pulled.
Yeah, that looks right.
All right,
I'd probably
good
say
deal.
Seed there.
Hey, I've said Malachi on air, man.
Yeah,
so
you
I'm
have.
kind of
Have indeed done that.
yeah. So I'm a little
Sorry, Malachi.
I'm a little leery about names right now. All right, but 2 touchdowns, 5 catches, 107 yards, and 1 touchdown. So shout out to McKinney, man. And I mean, who is Jesuit? Jesuit is that team they'll get a quality victory and then they'll come and come back and lose a game like this. Rance Holman was. Man, I mean, this is a kid that's been making a lot of plays for Jesuit from the beginning of the year with E.J. Smith being out. So this is surprising for me for them to lose this game.
You know, and just even looking at these stats up here, I mean, McKinney had 540 total yards, and Jesuit had 3 turnovers. Shouldn't they have won by like 50 looking at these stats? I mean,
Basically.
how did they only win by 3?
And that kind of just shows the two-face mentality of this Jesuit team. I mean, you just don't know who you're going to get. And I'm having struggles with my internet right now. What did EJ do tonight?
Not a lot.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
He had, let me see, I thought I had it pulled up, 4 yards, no touchdowns.
Whoa.
That's not an E.J. Smith stat.
Oh.
You know,
I wonder if something happened there. Like
he might have gotten hurt.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We've mentioned that already today. That
nagging injury a little bit.
We don't get those injury reports. So I wonder if that's something that may have flared up a little bit in the middle of that game.
But even with that, I mean, you look at what they have done. I go back to the beginning of the season because Jake Taylor has taken a lot of those snaps at the running back position. E.J. Smith, when he came back, he was kind of like the utility knife position. He did it all. Most of it he was doing in the passing game for Rance Holman. Mm-hmm. So, again, if E.J. Smith did go out, I know that is a big loss for Jesuit because his energy just coming back for them was infectious, and you could tell the way that they were playing. So this is a bad loss.
Now, we can move on here to go to Louisville and Hebron, but I'm going to take a second. We're going to kind of go backwards a little bit because there are a couple scores that have popped up since we talked about these games that are intriguing a little bit, and I want to start with Flower Mound and Coppell. Remember whenever that Flower Mound squad had a dominating lead? That's not the case anymore.
What do you mean?
Coppell's back down by only 8.
What?
With 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
They were up by like 30.
It was 38 to 14.
Mm-hmm. No, I saw 55 to.
It was at one point.
55-24 at one point.
You got the right game.
55-32 is probably what you saw. Okay. It was 31. And there's that's reverse. Those scores up at the top. So Flower Mound still has a lead, 55-47. Flower Mound's still out on top, but Coppell back within 8 is the score. And like I said, it's flip-flopped on that graphic up there. But I mean, look at just the total yardage. As we get that corrected. But Flower Mound has the football, a crucial 3rd and 7 from the 49-yard line of Coppell. With 4:43 left, so plenty of time left in this game. But wow, Coppell coming back big. They were down, I think 55-32 was the largest lead for Flower Mound in that one.
And this was all done in the fourth quarter?
Most of it was done in the fourth quarter. Ooh, big update on the score.
Oh.
Come on, Flower Mound.
That next play, Flower Mound, a Blake short pass complete to Reese Carter, 49 yards to the house. Wow. So 3rd and 7 works out well for the Jaguars, and maybe that comeback effort.
How much time?
3:03. So they ran a lot of clock off.
Sealed the deal for him.
And might have just delivered the dagger.
Coppell's season as well. It was a must-win situation for them. So, wow, what a comeback, though.
Now, we also wrote out Plano West, but they came back too.
Yeah.
So, hey, it seems like that kind of night that's kind of wild overall.
Well, in Coppell, the Cardiac Cowboys, they won some close games last year, and this year it's just they've struggled to come. We've actually talked about this a couple weeks ago when I was on the show that they've struggled in some of these close games to finish it. So they're still in it. They got a chance to try and finish this one or at least tie it and force overtime, but still, just the effort to get back in this game when your season kind of looks like it's over there for a second shows a lot of fight, and that's the Cowboys for you.
And you also remember back whenever we were talking earlier that Colleyville Heritage lead that they had over Birdville.
Yeah, talk about it.
That's gone now as well. And Birdville wins that football game as it is over. A 1-point win for the Hawks, 32-31, the final score in that one. Birdville comes back and defeats the Panthers. They score 3 out of the last 4 touchdowns in the football game. In the fourth quarter, or third and fourth quarter, they scored with Ladarius Mixon 5-yard touchdown run.
There he is.
LD.
There go that man.
Yeah.
That was with 11:26 left in the fourth quarter, and they held on from then on out with a 1-point lead.
Those penalties just killed. I mean,
Colleyville.
That's big.
Yeah.
That
13 penalties for 133 yards. I mean, that's definitely part of the reason why Colleyville lost this game.
Well, in a game like this, you got to play clean football, too. It's all about cleanliness and being sharp. And when you lose by a point, some of that stuff comes back to haunt you.
These guys, obviously, this is a district game. These kind of, I would call it a rivalry game. That's what the equivalent was. I mean, but still, must win for Colleyville. I mean, they're still going to the playoffs no matter what, but the seeding for them.
Now, do we have a Denton final tonight? Because that would determine that. If Denton lost tonight, then Colleyville's officially in.
Let me look officially, and I'll get back to that on that here in just a moment.
But just seeing that Birdville has Mixon back, also with what they have with Jackson, I mean, that's right now at the right part of the season, and you're seeing the 5-yard touchdown for Mixon getting back on the stat sheet. Kid had to have been hurt this whole time, but that's a part of getting healthy at the right time, and maybe Birdville is getting healthy at the right time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you don't know if he was 100% tonight, but just getting him back and to have him come through in a big-time situation, maybe he, as this thing progresses, and maybe they can make another deep playoff.
Now, this is a 7-2. This is a 7-2 Birdville team that's coming up against Denton Ryan next week.
Yeah, same convo we had last year.
By the way, Denton won last night.
They won last night?
Yeah, 39-0 against Newman Smith.
Wow.
So yeah, I forgot about that. That was actually a third or a Thursday night game.
That was a Thursday night final,
and so Denton did win last night.
So Colleyville needs help.
No, they still control their own destiny. But they could have clinched tonight as opposed to next week.
Yeah, if they had won tonight, they would have been good. If Denton had lost this week, they would have been good. But they still control things. They just got to go win next week.
Well, next week we are at Denton.
Okay. Wow.
We are at Denton. So, how
so
about that
game.
preparity?
It's a playoff game.
It's winning you're in, and that's what that's going to be.
Wow. That's interesting. Moving forward, I didn't even realize that was a possibility, but that's how it's going to turn out in that district. A couple other scores kind of rolling in at the moment. Highland Park only up by 7 at the moment. Lancaster has stormed back and scored a couple big touchdowns late in that one. We'll get to that one more in depth coming up here in just a moment. Highland Park faced with a 3rd and 25 at the moment. And might have to give that football back. So I mentioned this earlier. We haven't talked about this game enough. Louisville and Hebron, 6-6A, and a good football game overall between these two. At least what we thought was going to happen going into this. Well, Hebron took care of business, no doubt about it. And you see some of the highlights up there. 38-14, Hebron emphatically takes down the Louisville Fighting Farmers. We had 0 pick'ems go in favor of the Hawks this week, but that Hebron team that we've kind of been expecting showed up today, 21 unanswered to start the football game, and then they really didn't look back after that.
Yeah, I got a little trick play right here, a little trickeration. Throwing in the coverage. This kid Carson Harris, man, what a game he had for Hebron. I was going to ask you guys, who is Carson Harris, and where did this kid come from? I mean,
where's he been?
Right, yeah. I think something like 256 yards in this game. This kid is Mr. Do It All for Hebron. Louisville, man, it's what an up and down team. You expect the defense to be pretty good. They had some quality wins before this game. I didn't expect for them because I picked Louisville. Obviously, I didn't pick Hebron, so I didn't see this one happening for sure.
Yeah.
And this kid is gone.
Well, and like we said, odd things happen in Carrollton at Hawk Stadium.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, that was almost like a foreshadow to what's going to happen tonight, and I didn't.
And it was
listen.
a bad night for the Fighting Farmers at Hawk Stadium. That was lopsided.
Unbelievable. What else you got over there?
Well, I'm looking through some of these other scores and kind of going through it, but yeah, that's an impressive win for Hebron overall. And Gavin Dunaway got a chance to catch up with their head coach. We'll touch that coming up in just a little while. But I'm impressed with that defense for Hebron. That's something that they've kind of struggled with over the course of the year, but able to kind of hold down a 7-1 Louisville team that a lot of people, like we talked about, kind of overlooked going into this game, and I know that we all picked Louisville and maybe overhyped them, but I thought still that you could classify the Fighting Farmers as a under-the-radar type of ball club.
At 7-1?
At 7-1.
Yeah.
Under the radar. I mean, you compare them to some of the other 7-1 teams around the area. I mean, you don't talk about these squads as much as we talk about a Highland Park who's 7-1 or schools like that, but at the same time, I mean, that's an impressive win for Hebron and something that I didn't necessarily expect going into that ball game, and it also kind of shakes some things up in District 6A. Let's go to 5-6A. South Lake Carroll taking on Northwest Eaton. And Mallory, I know you've seen both of these squads previously, and South Lake Carroll just taking care of business again tonight.
Yeah,
as expected.
For sure. I mean, I kind of had a preview over this game. We didn't really
hit it. Yeah, we ran out of time.
We had some more important games to talk about. But I mean, South Lake, they're 9-0. They've far secured their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they looked really, really impressive tonight.
Yeah, you look at Ewers' stat line tonight: 265 yards on 21 completions, 3 touchdowns for Ewers, and 56-17. Really, just no chance here for Northwest Eaton. Now, Jones, their tailback, had quite a nice night for Eaton. 112 yards on the ground on 10 carries. And then it had a touchdown scamper as well in that one. So Eaton had some individuals put up numbers, but overall that Dragon squad's just way too deep, guys.
Well, and speaking of getting the job done on the ground, our boy Owen Allen, who's a star, one of our Friday night stars last week, had 3 touchdowns of his own off of nearly 100 yards rushing. So, and if I recall, that was Chiafalo's boy, who he called a true freshman last week.
He did. Yeah, he did. He brought that out.
Even though there's no such thing as a true freshman.
In high school.
But he is a ninth grader getting the job done on the big stage, and Southlake continues to roll as they get ready for playoff season.
Yeah, and that's starting to become Southlake season is kind of what you're looking at with some of these scores, because, I mean, a lot of people say that Dragons team's dangerous and poised to make a run, even with some youth. I mean, that's what's scary about this Southlake squad, is that there's still youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and they finally got the quarterback.
What are you thinking?
No, I'm waiting on you to. I'm waiting on you to say it. I'm waiting on it to come out.
You think I'm leading somewhere?
You are going. You are leading.
Maybe I'm leading you somewhere.
No, I'm there already. I was just waiting on you to serve.
Oh, you're saying that they're going to win?
No.
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 And what game are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what game I'm talking about.
The duffel bag boy.
The duffel bag. Come on, man. Let's make it simple. You know what it is.
It is.
I mean,
simple.
I think yours is great. I think the running back is great. They found something in the quarterback. We said at the beginning of the season that this was going to be maybe a transitionary, a growing year for them. Not so much. Quinn had another plan.
Yep.
And he came in and showed everybody that there was not going to be any down years going on in Southlake. And so defensively, they've gotten R.J. Mickens back.
Mm-hmm. It's big.
That is huge.
Bram Faluma in the linebacking core.
You know, I mean, they got a lot of talent over there now.
Andre Carrick, Asim Penn on the front line
Hey,
on
man,
offense.
names galore. Just pick one, you know. And so at this point, you know that they can play. They're another team that's very dangerous. They can play you any way you want to do it. I mean, they showed that versus Denton Geyer, where they, expecting expecting a running game, and they went heavy on the tight end and just completely blew
Blake
that game.
Smith.
Yeah, Blake Smith blew
Another
that game.
name.
Right, blew that out. Blake Smith is a stud, by the way. This kid is huge.
Former quarterback, too. He would have been the quarterback had there been no such thing as Quinn Ewers at South
Thank God he's not, because your QE is the one.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really impressive in itself. Riley Dodge only in his second season with Southlake, and they may just go undefeated in the regular season again, just like last year. I mean, I think that in itself is just extremely impressive.
That is a good point. I mean, a lot of people kind of thought, hey, there would be some growing pains there with Dodge. That's not the case.
Not at all.
Young dude performing and kind of bringing back Southlake. Not that they ever really left.
Yeah, I was
but
about to say.
He's got them rolling like they were when he was the guy, when his dad was the head coach.
Well, and that's the thing is a lot of people going into this year said, hey, they're losing T.J. McDaniel.
Right.
He's graduated. He's going off. They lost a couple guys on offense that they said, hey, they're not replaceable.
Change your quarterback.
Oops.
Yep.
How about this Ewers kid? He's coming out, and he looks like he's going to have quite a career. And I even talked to Bill Jones, the mayor of Southlake, last week, quote unquote. That's our lovable name for Bill. He said he thinks he's going to play on Sundays.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Who's going to play on Sunday?
Ewers.
Wow.
By the way,
big praise.
With 2 minutes and 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter, we've got ourselves a 1-point game in Weibo country.
We do. Yep.
Lancaster just scored from across the 50-yard line on a long bomb, and they're an extra point away from tying it up at 35.
Was it Latrell
with
Caples?
Highland Park? Yes.
Yep. One of my keys going into this game was the big splash play for Lancaster, and were they going to be able to, capitalize on that? Or was Highland Park going to be able to subdue some of that? Big splash play just brought it within 1 point, and we got 2 minutes to play.
And there's 2:12 left on the clock specifically. The extra point is on its way. The snap is down. Snap is good. And it is... he kicked it through, but it was a false start. And so Lancaster has to back it up again. That's good.
It's a big extra point.
And they're at Lancaster State.
Lancaster.
Okay.
And let's just keep in mind that this same kicker missed back-to-back field goals in the first quarter.
Don't jinx the brother. You see how he just
sprinkle on that.
Remember now, he's the same guy.
Here we go.
The kick is down, it's up, and it's good. So tied at 35 for Highland Park and Lancaster. Wow. Highland Park has all 3 timeouts left, though, so there is that to be.
Way too much time on the clock for Chandler Morris.
What a thriller in Weibo country. Just think who could be there right now.
I'm sure that somebody would love to be there, but instead he's here with us.
He's dying in here with us.
You feeling it yet?
I don't want to be here anymore. I asked you at the beginning, I said, how much are you hating this? She was like, no, I'm fine.
Now, here's the thing. If I was there, I wouldn't have ever known that Plano West won tonight until way later in the night. So it worked out.
So you got to celebrate
So I got to celebrate a little bit. I'm trying to find a silver lining here.
Your silver lining is silver. That's brown lining. You got it. That's ugly, dude.
Oh, man.
That cloud is polluted.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break before the wheels fall off again.
Already gone. Hey, you got he's guy can't take it anymore. He doesn't want to be.
He's starting to hyperventilate in the corner. We got to get EMTs on. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars, we'll go through some of those other games that are starting to go final Rockwall and Mesquite. You've got Wilmer Hutchins, Alvarado. We'll check in on that one. We'll see how South Grand Prairie and DeSoto's going.
Let's talk about it.
Cedar Hill in a close battle. We'll talk about that. That wasn't even a game we had on the docket tonight, but Mansfield hanging in there. We'll talk about how that one ends up, and then we'll also give you the final 2 minutes and 12 seconds of Highland Park and Lancaster when we return here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Billy Martin. I'm an executive vice president with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it, letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
Ashley Home Store, the #1 furniture and mattress store in America. We have all the major mattress brands at a guaranteed low price. Plus, we have furniture for every room in the house and decorator accessories to make it yours. With multiple locations, personalized service from knowledgeable associates, and convenient finance plans to fit your budget. Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. This is home.
Days are built on mornings, and Whataburger is built on burgers. Mornings, burgers. Morning burgers? Yeah, all right. Good thing there's a burger made just for breakfast, topped with breakfast. Good thing there's the new limited time breakfast burger at Whataburger.
Back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars, plenty of games coming down to the wire in Week 10 of Texas high school football. We're glad you're spinning it with us here from the Star in Frisco. Kyle Yeomans, Mallory Hartley, Heckma Harrison, and Guy Frazier. Four of us having some fun in studio
guys,
during the break.
What a Friday night we are having.
Week, guys.
Wow.
I mean, Texas high school football is never boring, but this is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is taking up a notch.
Mm-hmm. It has been taken up a notch. Quick update, 20 seconds left in the Highland Park and Lancaster game. Highland Park is in field goal range at the 11-yard line.
It's over.
Yeah.
With 14 seconds.
It's time to roll the credits.
They did miss a field goal in the first half.
You're exactly right. That's what I was about to bring up.
Highland
Park has had some issues. Now, they don't have guys like they have in the past. I mean, they've had some Division I kickers at Highland Park over the last couple of years. I don't know who, Guy, do you know who their kicker is now?
I should know, and
but
I'm slipping on his name at the moment. He's had some injury, I think, issues along the way, but I can get that name for you in a second.
But yeah, there's it's not necessarily the automatic that it has been in the past for Highland Park, but
God, why does the thing is Lancaster plays so tough every year versus Highland Park, and then the end of it was halftime last year. They were in the game the whole time.
At the beginning.
And then they come back second half, they lay an egg, and now you fight so hard to get back in this game, and then you kick the ball off and you let them bring it all the way back down. Was it to the 30, the 20-yard line?
40, opposite 40.
Come on, guys. Come on, man. You're fighting too hard. You're fighting too hard.
It's almost a 60-yard return for Highland
K.
Park.
Savage, yep.
Yeah, and gosh, what a great name.
Wesley Winters. Gosh, I should know that. I didn't.
I've heard that name before.
He's
I think
been around
you
for
and
a
I have
little bit.
talked about it.
For sure.
Whoa.
Oh.
It might have.
Whoa.
Were you watching it?
We are watching.
I didn't see it. I was looking at a different score. Did he miss that field goal?
No, I think did they just pick it off?
They block
it? I think
Lancaster, I think, just picked it off in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
There's
We might
8
have
seconds
overtime
left.
in Weibo country,
Yep.
potentially.
Oh, so instead of going for a field goal on 3rd and 6, you're exactly right. Chandler Morris throws an interception in the back of the end zone.
There's one of your
I was about to
timely
hype him up,
turnovers.
too.
There's your Tigers.
And the timely turnover.
Rawr.
Hey.
Now you cannot have a big splash play happen here if you're a Scotty fan. If you're a Tiger fan, you're celebrating. So we'll have to see.
What is your heart rate at? Do you have an Apple Watch?
You know, actually, I'm really calm because I got no. I'm
He's
serious.
lying.
Feel my pulse. I'm good.
I'm not about to feel your pulse.
I'm actually
Touch
good.
me.
My thing going into it was whoever won this game, it was like I somewhat win because I got a lot of love for both guys, for
That's
both
fair.
sides.
Okay, that's fair.
So, I wasn't going to sit there and cry over it.
Except whenever you get in the car when you get back out of here, right?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen.
There's
one
a
of the
parking
first
garage
things-
right there. It's really dark.
One of the first things I would
bang on the
do
steering wheel.
is text Coach Gilbert and congratulate him. And I meant to hit him up before the game and just ran out of time, but he'd be the first guy I'd contact and congratulate him on it. And
I mean, regardless, this is an
it's not
unbelievable
over.
game.
We've got 7 seconds left, so there's still a lot of football left, potentially overtime.
We'll keep an eye on that one. There is one game that has gone to overtime and has gone final. The Colony and Frisco Independence, and the Knights of Independence come out on top in double overtime over the Colony, 44-37 in a classic battle.
Did anybody play defense today?
No.
No, not really.
Oh, my God.
It took one play into the second overtime for Independence to win this one. A 25 yards, Zylil McMillan touchdown score put him up by 7, and then Mikey Harrington, the second pass was intercepted at the 9-yard line to end the football game.
Man, things get interesting now. Frisco Independence wins next week. They have the second place spot.
Wow. Who do they take on next week?
That is a really good
Centennial.
Yeah, it is Centennial next week. So, I mean, a pretty good little
Independence
route.
just saved themselves a lot of heartache potentially next week with that win tonight. Wow.
Well, they had to. They had to, and they knew it, and they came in and they approached this game that way. Braylon Braxton, 332
Unreal.
yards, 5 touchdowns, balling.
Now the Colony
That's ballin'.
the Colony gets their rival. I'm pretty sure it's a rivalry. Little Elm next week, and they do get them on the road. So you
Which
don't
has
want
been
to
a tough
slip
place
up
to play.
again. It can be a tough place to play there in Lobo country, but. Part of me thinks Little Elm, because they're officially out of all this, that there might be a little bit of a letdown next
Guys
week.
are
and the
already in
Colony
college
takes care of
already. Guys
themselves.
are just like,
Yeah.
no sense in blowing my scholarship.
But I will say the Colony losing tonight, that whole thing kind of gets sketchy from them from a seeding standpoint. Independence really just did themselves a big solid tonight.
That's a
and
huge
give
win.
Braylon Braxton and all those boys over there at Indy a lot of credit.
Well, and Coach Kyle
Getting a big
Story
win.
and company, I mean, they've kind of been there before. I mean, they've been right on the outside waiting for that big-time program win. Of course, this year you're not going to get it against Lone Star. It's Lone Star's year in that district. No doubt about it. They're going to blow through everybody and continue on their way to the postseason. However, Independence, I mean, yes, they're going to end up with 2 district losses, but other than Lone Star, they could run the table.
Yeah.
Other than the forfeited loss, which they dominated against Frisco Heritage, then they defeat the Colony tonight. They got Centennial next week. It's kind of this is an impressive program lifting win for the Knights.
For sure.
Taking down a team as talented as the Colony. Lancaster, by the way, running around as time runs out. kind of going back and forth. They were throwing a couple of the laterals and trying to continue the play. Well, flag just flies in, but I believe it's going to be on Lancaster.
We're going blindside hit, maybe.
We're going to overtime.
We're going to overtime. Yep.
Weibo Country overtime.
Yeah, back to you're talking about Coach Story when we had him in here interviewing one of the most level-headed coaches that we've got an opportunity to talk to, and just
fan of the show as well.
Absolutely, and just him talking about his team and their big playability, but also not allowing these guys to get too ahead of themselves. Just looking at the fact that they're going to take it 1 week at a time. And I know that's coaches speak, but still, that a team like Frisco Independence, they're still a very young team with a young quarterback that is super talented. Like I said, those 5 touchdowns tonight. Zahil McMillan, man. God.
He's unreal.
5 catches, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, kid had an unbelievable night, and that just shows you the cast of characters that Independence has because, look, we think that it's just Braylon Braxton and Wafer. No, you got another guy here, McMillan, who's turning it up a little bit as well. And also, their running back, I want to show him some love. He didn't score a touchdown, but the kid had 116 yards on the ground. Dwayne Orr, my man, get it done for Independence. Yeah.
Knights.
The Knights.
The Knights. Whenever Heckma really likes his stat line, you can tell.
Yeah, he gets into it.
He gets a little quiet.
Yeah.
He lets it roll through with that.
He sounds like an R&B
voice.
channel.
I am not, though.
It's time to go back to the hits with Heckma Harrison.
Yeah. The hits. It's like a 80s. There's a little bit of smoke in the room.
Y'all digging me too much right now, but I love it. I'm a little uncomfortable, but I like it.
That's okay.
Compliments.
It
Cool.
is. It's all out of love. By the way, Waxahachie, the team that's in the bottom dweller of the District of Doom, gets their first district win of the year. They take down playoff clinched already Mansfield Summit tonight.
Oh, man. Mansfield Summit gets on my nerves. I can't take it.
Wishy-washy,
I can't take
man.
it.
Yeah.
Then you go beat DeSoto last week, and then you go lay down versus Waxahachie.
10-6 final score.
Wow.
10 to
Get out of
6.
town.
Wow.
29 yards passing for Mansfield Summit tonight.
You know what? They partied way too hard last
laid
Thursday.
over into week 10.
Who
played at the quarterback spot? Was McKinney back, or was it 2 sophomores?
No,
going
it
at
was.
against?
It was. I believe it was the sophomores going at it again this week.
So they could get it done when it's raining sideways and blowing a gale.
Yeah, that is.
And all it was tonight was cold.
That's it.
Yeah.
And come on. That's why I said it, man. I'm like, come on. You talk about
tough.
the weather.
Too busy looking ahead, maybe a little bit too.
Maybe.
Who they got next week?
I don't know, but if you're a playoff clinch spot type
Yeah, that's
team,
fair. You could
you're not
already-
really sweating things a little bit, and you get a little complacent.
You're exactly right on that one. And by the way, they have Lake Ridge next week.
Okay.
Lake
how
Ridge
about
still
that?
in the fight, I believe, for a playoff spot. No, they're not.
They got eliminated last week.
You're right.
When DeSoto lost.
You're exactly right.
So, did anybody want to talk about the Avoid Duncanville Bowl?
Yeah, what we got a score on that by chance?
Of course.
And which game was that again? One more time?
DeSoto and SGP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that.
We haven't touched on that one yet.
Yeah, let's go.
You want to
ahead
hear
and
the
go
final
to
score to that game?
that. Yeah, if you've got it.
Yeah, Duncanville 59, Richardson.
Oh,
you're
what was
not
that?
talking about Duncanville?
What was that?
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about Duncanville.
What was that one, anyways?
Sorry. 59-0, but
Oh.
that's
well, there's
fine.
the duffel bag, boys. Hello.
My bad.
Defense
My bad
of
on that.
Duncanville.
Who'd they play?
There's the DeSoto score, the Avoid Duncanville Bowl.
Okay.
Get out of the way bowl. That's what they call it. The get out of the way bowl. Stay out.
Oh, a bounce back win though for DeSoto overall, and they put up good numbers in this one.
A bounce back performance for Samari Collier. I assume he contributed to a good majority. If
You
not all of that,
assume, yeah,
340 yards.
him and the brothers Brown, Jason Brown, and my other Brown brother, Jordan Brown. All right, and so the Browns went to work tonight, and combined, I mean, the Browns attributed to 193 of the Eagles' yardage. Samari Collier went back to work. Drizzy Drake Logan, he did play tonight, 146 yards passing, 1 touchdown, but other than that, not so much.
Okay. Well, that's a important win, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Get Out the Way Bowl.
It's the Get Out the Way Bowl.
Get out the way.
You don't want to be in the front of that freight. Is that what they're saying? There's a Freightliner coming. Get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, DeSoto, that is a matchup now. Guys, you got to watch for that. That is a matchup.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
But I think we wanted to see that later on.
Yeah. I think so
that's
too.
one of those things. Let's let the hype build. Let's see if we can string off a couple wins for both Duncanville
Now,
and
they got to tell
DeSoto.
the truth. Now, remember after the DeSoto game, you're the first person I called.
For sure.
I called you and I said, hey, guy, tell me DeSoto's not going to end up playing in Duncanville.
I told you it's a really good possibility.
I know you did. And I've been saying, no, man, it can't happen. That can't happen. We can't have that matchup. We have to save it for later. And here we are, second to last game of the season, and that could have been a reality. I'm glad they're out of the way. And so who's actually being served to Duncanville for the first game?
South Grand Prairie.
Oh.
Oof.
That'll be rough.
That was the whole
Warriors.
point of that game.
Yeah.
And
guys.
if I recall, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure that was the same first-round matchup last year.
I think it was. I think you're exactly right.
So
deja vu
back-to-back
all over
years.
again.
Yep.
Sorry, SGP. Should have won the night.
Of course, for all we know, they come out in that first-round game and they knock off.
Nah, that's not
Goliath.
Mansfield Summit. Chandler Morris, by the way, just walked the dog into the end zone. So Highland Park finds a score in the first possession of overtime. Lancaster is yet to have the football in that one. So the Tigers get a chance to answer after big number 4 kind of just trots his way in on a scramble. Let's go to Mesquite and Rockwall at Rockwall. 66-42 the score in that
the Skeeters
one.
show up?
They put up a lot of points, but it's Rockwall on top in that one.
I heard the big butt coming there.
The Orange Jackets coming up and putting up 66 points with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter of that one, and the Skeeters still threatening there. They could make it a one-score game with the touchdown. I think my math's off. No, that is not the case.
No.
Yeah, they can make it look
You were
better.
off by 10 points there.
Yeah, they can make it look a little bit better, but it's not going to be a one-score game by any means. So Rockwall impressive in this one, but a lot of offense. If you like throwing the football,
Wait a minute.
673
Time out. Is this stat
Brayden Locke.
correct?
Which one are you looking at?
Jackson Smith and Jiba, 9 catches, 325 yards, and 4 touchdowns?
That's pretty good, right?
That's college level.
Man,
That's
NFL level.
Just bring the Heisman to him now.
I know. Well, and the thing that's crazy about it was only off of 9 receptions.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was almost 40 yards a catch. That's just
I mean, he's walking the dog every time he touches the ball. That's pretty crazy.
incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Brayden Locke, sophomore. I am going to have so much fun following this kid over the next couple of years. I cannot believe how good he is, and such a treat to watch. 415 yards. I think that's amazing.
Off of 15 completions.
And I think this kid's only had one or 2 interceptions in the season.
By the way, Jackson Smith-Jiba, one of just 12 individuals in Texas high school football history to have 325 yards or more in a football game.
I was going to ask who's he in company with there.
Let's see. You've got Stanley Johnson from 1994, Randy Boone in 84, Blake Turner. Nobody really kind of standing off the list. Mark Lazoya, or I believe that's how you say the name, in 2013 had 454. That's the record.
And where did he play? Does it say?
I believe it was Laredo Alexander.
Okay, so down south.
So in terms of DFW schools, we had Cedar Hill had somebody go for 345 in 1988. Fort Worth Paschal had a 356
Paschal.
Blake Turner was Rockwall, and that's actually the Rockwall school record, rather, and that's 365. That was back in 2010. Richardson Pierce also on the list, and that in Fort Worth Southwest is the most in DFW history. Robbie Rhodes.
Was that Robbie Rhodes?
Had that in 2011.
Former Baylor
Bear, yeah.
Good basketball player, too.
394 yards is the DFW record.
Yeah. The thing is, like before we started the season, we were talking a lot about characters that were going to be replacing the guys from the previous years.
Yeah.
And I said that Jackson Smith-Njigba was going to be this year's Theo Weiss. I think he's past that.
He might be better than that.
I think he is. He might have went straight past that and has put himself in a whole nother stratosphere as far as wide receivers are concerned. I mean, the big playability from this kid, and if he had not gotten hurt versus, I know,
right?
Oh, man.
You got there's a
the
part,
what ifs.
That is one right there. He gets hurt on the first play from scrimmage. I guess his shoulder.
Against Longview.
Yeah, I mean that's a different game. I just believe that Braden Locke is such a talent that we're getting opportunity to see. But this kid, Jackson Smith-Njigba, my God.
Well, and you have to believe that when Braden lost Jackson in that Longview game, he lost a big. I don't want to say completely just throw out the word confidence, but his safety valve there that if all else fails, just find Jackson.
Throw it up to 11.
And so when you lose that for a sophomore in an environment out there in Lobo Country in Longview, which is just a different animal.
Yeah.
That had to have hurt a little bit.
Oh,
and,
man.
Now that you got him back, now they got to find a way to play defense at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
But shoot, offense is not an issue in Rockwall.
We also can talk about Zach Henry.
I was about to say,
21 carries. Anybody want to take a stab at that stat line? 224 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, we're talking about Jackson Smith-Njigba in a historic outing, but man, Zach Henry had his work this week too.
Yeah,
it's a lot of yards.
I don't know who played defense in this week, but Duncanville is the only one that played defense this week. What do you got?
You smiling over there, guy?
Well, we got final in Weibo Country.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great ending. Came down to a 4th down play for Glenn Rice and the Weibo boys, and unfortunately they came up short. Highland Park 42, Lancaster 35, in a thriller. And this may not be the last time these two see each other at some point. What a great game.
An impressive game for Lancaster, able to come back a little bit in what looked like it was going to be a Highland Park runaway. But the 4 turnovers brought the Tigers back within striking distance, able to take it to overtime. But in the end, the Scotties defense stands strong, and Chandler Morris leads another game-winning touchdown drive, as he's done so many times in the past.
Yeah, well, Guy said it before the show about Glenn Rice Jr. needing to be the one to make a play and saying that the sophomore, the moment may be too big for him. Well, hey, it came in overtime, and the moment may have not been too, but he just didn't. He didn't match it, right? I mean, a great game. I know Coach Randy Allen cannot be happy about the 4 turnovers for the Scotties, but it's a win nonetheless, right? And so next week, who is their opponent? Do we know?
Mansfield Timberview. I'll be there.
That's
Friday
another good
night.
one too.
It's a really good game. Timberview.
So that means you're out. You won't be in the studio next week if we need you.
I will be on the road.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a 1-week fill-in for the moment.
Okay.
So
don't give me that look.
Okay.
For the moment,
I got work to go do. I got to start seeing some teams for playoff time. So
yeah, he's Guy Frazier, and he's got an agenda.
I got to hit the road.
I got to hit the road. I got to go see
Guy
some teams in
Frazier on
person.
the road.
What a game!
But yeah, an impressive game and a big win for the Scotties, and definitely a happy.
And let's give Glenn Rice a little credit. He was 15 to 26 for 268 and 3 touchdowns. And watching a good portion of this game, he was pressured a lot, having to work and really work for his stuff tonight. As far as his O-line didn't help him out at times, was what I saw, and he had to finesse and make some things happen, extend plays, and that's pretty good numbers for the sophomore in a big-time game and big-time spot. And, yeah, they didn't get the win, but that's something you can build off of. In my opinion, the whole year is he brings a different juice to this offense that you didn't get last year with the quarterback play. So they're growing at that spot. And
now, is it mental? Is it mental now for Lancaster? Period. Just knowing that they've gotten so close over the years. I mean, they're right there, and what could it be? I mean, Highland Park gave you every opportunity to win. They had 4 turnovers. I don't know many teams that turn the ball over 4 times and still win the game.
Right.
On the road?
Well, and they played a pretty clean game. We just brought up a second ago, a clean game from Lancaster is what they're going to need. They only turned the ball over once. They only had 46 yards of penalty yardage, which they got killed on that last week in the Timberview game. So they cleaned that up. Give a little bit of credit to Highland Park. But you also say, okay, we lost this game 39-14 last year. We closed the gap a lot. So I think there's a lot of stuff you can build off of if you're Coach Gilbert. And, my thing is Lone Star's 1 in Region 2 for 5AD1. Then you've got Highland Park now at that 2 spot and Lancaster at that 3 spot. I thought tonight was kind of the whoever won this, you kind of peg them at 2 and then Lancaster at 3 now. And you kind of have your power rankings there in Region 2, which is a really good region for 5AD1. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that region, that's most likely. I mean, anything can happen at the same time, but most likely that's where you're going to see your state championship matchup come out of.
Yeah.
I mean, out of those 3 squads.
Don't sleep on Denton Ryan, obviously.
But that's fair. Are they not in Region 2?
They're Region 1.
Oh, that's
They're
right.
the bullies of the block
on
Region 1.
You're right.
They kind of skate to the semi.
And then they run
into
trouble.
They run into Region 2. And it's been Highland Park the last couple of years. But
that would be interesting.
Yeah, and that would be interesting. And I think Region 2 as a whole is not as deep as it was last year. I think District 8 with Lufkin and the Magnolia schools is not in College Station as well. There's some pieces back on those teams, but they're not as deep as they were last year. And I think, all those schools were out by the area round in 2018. And that was, Lufkin was a state title type contender, and then they got slipped up by Lone Star. So I think some people took a step back maybe as a whole in that district, but 7's not as strong as it has been. But 5 and 6 with Lone Star, Highland Park, Lancaster, and Timberview are kind of your power squads. And
And
it's still tough.
Even with a win tonight, the way that it happened, where there were 4 turnovers and it was a little bit sloppy for Highland Park, I think people might write off the Scots, saying, hey, Denton Ryan and hey, Lone Star, and you got challenged by Lancaster. But at the same time, Highland Park's won 18 straight playoff games. And they hold the longest streak in playoff win streak in the state at the moment.
But their history starts next week, 2 weeks from now. And so we can live off of the past all you want to, but the truth is that Denton Ryan is pretty strong this year. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They have some competition.
They've been playing with a chip on their shoulder the last 2 years.
No. I'm talking about
Ever
what they're
since
doing.
Spencer Sanders and that whole team back in 2016, Denton Ryan has had that revenge tour.
Drew Sanders and some other Sanders, Jatavian Sanders. They have athletes. They have athletes galore over there at Denton Ryan. Now, it's safe to assume we can say, okay, Randy Allen squad. They know what it's like. It's championship time. This is going on the 4th stage. This would be 4. We're looking at a dynasty here, right?
It's already a dynasty.
All-time winningest program in high school football history.
That's already done.
But you're right. As far as this group of kids, it's been really impressive.
Almighty. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I was just piggybacking
By the way,
off him.
win number 400 for Randy Allen.
Way to go, Randy Allen!
We mentioned that in the kickoff show. 400 wins.
All I'm saying is it's a bunch of dogs waiting on them in the playoffs, and it's not going to be an easy road, and everybody's going to be gunning for them. And I just think that Denton Ryan is a very talented team. Drew Sanders is just a different breed of athlete.
Yeah.
And so
you say the same thing about Billy Bowman Jr.
He's a one of a kind. He's a great guy.
No. But I'm just telling you, as far as Drew Sanders, I don't know if I've ever seen a high school athlete that looks like Drew Sanders ever. I mean, just from position standpoint, what he does. I mean, not only does he look like a marble statue, it's the fact of the matter is that the kid is really good on defense and he's really good on offense as well. And being a senior, and this is a pretty deep senior team. And I don't know. I don't want to jump out of the cake and say this is Denton Ryan's year. I'm just saying that this is no.
Jump out the cake.
I'm not doing that because there's a Lone Star team over there that has something to say about that.
Jump out of the cake for Lone Star?
I'm all out of the cake with frosting on me.
Right.
Okay, so just know it that's what I'm on. I just think that Highland Park last year, Highland Park's team was so talented on defense. I mean, they had a lot. And the wide receiver, I forget the kid's name, but he was amazing.
Finn Corwin,
man.
Yeah, he's unreal.
Unreal. Route runner. And so They don't have that this year, and so I think that's what's going to make that matchup even tougher for them this year because of the talent that they lost. And so I'm just saying, I mean, come on now. I know we can't all be homers.
And, you know, Denton Ryan's defense, I went to the game last night, as I mentioned in the pregame show. I mean, they held Grapevine to just 13 points in the game. Right. And you'd think that, like, by looking at this game, that Grapevine would be last in 4-5-A. But no, they were ranked 4th.
Right. Yeah.
And so that just kind of shows right there how strong, well-rounded of a team that Denton Ryan really is. And they're going to be a tough team to handle in the playoffs.
So, Mallory, you watch a lot of football. You go out and you see these games. We talk about it. You see what we're doing. And you're out there in the field actually seeing it. Your opinion of Denton Ryan versus the teams that you know you've seen, how do they compare at this point in the season?
I mean, Denton Ryan. I mean, it's all,
there
it's all Denton Ryan.
There it is.
I mean,
there it is. Thank you, Mallory.
Just by, I mean, I don't watch a lot of 4-5A football. I mostly watch 6A. But, I mean, just by being at that game last night, I mean, you said it. I mean, it's impressive. All Denton Ryan. They're so impressive. I mean, they're beating each team in their district like it's nothing. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be a problem.
I also kind of want to add this. We were talking about the routes for both of these squads. If we're going to continue with the Highland Park and even Lone Star, we'll throw Lone Star and Highland Park together in this because of that Region 2, Denton Ryan being in Region 1. Mm-hmm. Denton Ryan's going to skate to the semifinals, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything can happen.
Probably their one test.
Yeah,
we'll
but
see.
even then,
that district, like Coronado's been the team the last couple of years, and everybody kind of thought, oh, this might be kind of a sexy matchup, and it kind of falls short. And
but if you're looking at Highland Park in Region 2 or Lone Star in Region 2, those two teams would have to play each other when? 4th round?
Yeah, Lone Star and Highland Park.
Lone Star and Highland Park.
It'll be a regional semifinal game. So what's interesting about this game tonight, the loser of it may benefit more from a standpoint of when they get to play Lone Star. Lancaster will be on the other side of the region now and wouldn't play them until round 4 in the regional final. So it's only a difference of 1 round, but still, in a long season, different stuff happens from week to week, so it could be a difference. But the winner actually is going to play them in round 3.
Wow. So okay. So with that being said, if everything shakes out, Highland Park would have to, let's say Highland Park and/or Lone Star would play each other in the 3rd round.
Yep.
And then the winner of that would have to play either Lancaster or whoever's
Lufkin,
beaten Lancaster.
The Colony, McKinney North is down there, but I think your biggest contender is probably Lancaster and me.
I would say Lufkin too.
Lufkin's still got some dudes. I think they haven't been as consistent as they were last year. From it was just an obvious standpoint that they were the cream of the crop.
But the point of this is saying after playing each other, they would have to play either Lancaster or Lufkin.
That's
Then
tough.
Denton Ryan's waiting for them, and then Shadow Creek's waiting for them. I mean, you look at 4 straight games.
No, 5A is fun this year. D1.
Holy cow!
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's not just Shadow Creek's there, Richmond Foster, like that Region 3 is by far. You could argue maybe the toughest region in the state at any classification level. And you got Shadow Creek, Richmond Foster, New Caney, Friendswood, Hutto, Cedar Park. I can start listing a lot of teams that
you
have
just
a lot
did.
of chances.
It was the bars. I love it. But here's a good question. You were talking about these playoff teams. Do they play a home game and then neutral site? How do they decide that?
So 5A through 1A, first round is at home now.
At home, okay.
After that, it's all neutral site games.
Okay. Yeah,
I think there can be an exception with like coin flip type stuff, but that never happens.
Yeah, nobody really does that.
Site type deal. But the first round is automatically the higher seed gets the host. So the 1 will host the 4, the 2 will host the 3.
Now, overall, just interesting to look at throughout 5A. Now, we talked about this game already. Allen taking down Prosper in emphatic fashion, and I mean, a big final score for Allen. They were up 35-0 the last time we talked about it. It's been a little bit since we've revisited this game. 35-7, the final score for the Allen Eagles. And then Gavin Dunaway got an opportunity to catch up with one of the stars for that Allen Eagles squad after the 35-7 win, Tajon Jackson, after a magnificent catch. We'll get to see that catch in just a second. Gavin Dunaway, take it away.
This is Gavin Dunaway with Whataburger Friday Night Stars here with Tajon Jackson. first off, congratulations on such a great win. First off, can I kind of ask, this is obviously a great win for y'all. Prosper is a big, contender in the district with y'all. Can you kind of talk about how you're feeling right now with this big win over Prosper?
I'm super excited. We went in and we just worked out all week. We did everything that we always draw up, just going through all the progressions. And we just came out here and we executed, staying focused, having the energy. Coach Guillermo tells us that all the time. So we just tried our best. We just make sure we execute it.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you about that catch. You had a catch tonight that maybe might make Odell Beckham kind of jealous, Can you kind of talk about, obviously, huge one-handed grab? Can you talk about what was going through your mind with that catch?
I do it all the time in practice. It's something that I practice. I like to have fun with it. But when the time came down to it, I just went out there and I executed it, and I just made the play happen.
Absolutely. And moving forward, obviously, this was a great win for y'all tonight. Is there anything personally you think you might work on to kind of get better in the future?
The things personally that I might work on is just being supportive for my teammates and just working hard every single day, not taking any reps off. That's it.
Absolutely. That's Tayson Jackson. I'm Gavin Dunaway with Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
No, that's fine.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Back here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Thanks, Gavin. And, man, what a catch.
Yeah, he said I do it.
Gosh.
What do you say? What do you think it was a good kiss? I do it in practice all the time.
Yeah, whatever.
I do it in practice all the time. I tell my son that all the time, man. You want to do it, you don't just do it in the game. You do it in practice, you can take it to the game with you. And that's what the young man did.
It translates.
Wow. It absolutely does. And it translated tonight to a 35-7 win. Yeah, that was an unreal
Braylon
catch.
Sharp, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Threw for 13 for 18 with 321 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he also rushed for 2 more touchdowns and 56 yards in tonight's game.
Wow.
He's definitely probably
He's
the
been
star and the
unreal.
talk of
Maybe a star of the night.
the Allen Eagles.
Ooh, maybe.
I'd say so for sure.
Now, I do have to go through this because we've done it previously, and unfortunately, no Zach Wolchuk to talk about this, but alma maters tonight. Of course, Highland Park with a 45-35 win.
Yep.
My alma mater, Midway, takes down Temple emphatically, 52-28. Mallory's Arlington Colts taking a big
Stop
time
right now. Stop.
51-14
Why are
win.
you doing this? Why we got to end every show like this? Why do we got to do this?
Sour
You did it
taste
last
in the
week.
mouth.
You did it last week, and it was cold-blooded the
At
way
the
you closed the
buzzer.
show.
It was cold-blooded.
That was cold-blooded. Did you
At
see
the
my
buzzer.
reaction?
Yeah.
Did you see? And
you
I
didn't
couldn't
have
even.
any chance to rebuttal.
I was like, my whole face was like.
He says it, and the
was
screen
like-
goes black. It's like you couldn't do anything about it.
I was like Luka Doncic hitting that
my
step back
God.
three.
Boo.
Big game for the Mavs tonight. With,
Yeah, by the way,
with
they
LBJ
won.
and the boys in town.
Yeah, or no, well, they're actually, I take that back. They're still in a close one. But triple-double for Luka Doncic tonight. Hit LeBron with that skiddly-doo or whatever
You're
it was.
one Mavs fan right here, by the way, so I'm pretty excited.
I am, yeah.
I'm like legit first-year Mavs fan right here.
Oh,
so.
wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Join the bandwagon. I'm happy for you.
I jumped on.
Did you join the Lincoln bandwagon?
The Lincoln bandwagon.
Yeah, that one's pretty empty. 49-12, the final score as Lincoln falls tonight.
We'll be back.
Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale's undefeated, so that's a tough,
We'll be back.
That's a tough spot.
Let's go through some of the other scores throughout the area.
It's all right,
so
South Dallas. We'll be back.
We don't give Lincoln too much flack.
We ain't
And
worried about it.
Well,
we
Madison's
love
doing all
we
right.
love our Lincoln squad and our Lincoln viewers. We just do it to mess with Heckma.
Cool.
Sorry, bud.
So South Dallas is doing okay on one block.
Yeah, one of the blocks.
Just not on Hatcher Street.
Looking at some of the Friday night scores, Arlington Martin rolls. Mansfield giving Cedar Hill everything they could handle. That's the buzzer right there.
Well, what about Plano?
I was about to say.
What about that down there in the corner?
Maybe
What
not the
about
most
that?
embarrassing
Misery
loss.
loves company. Can I get some company, Chuckster?
Man, he's not on your side of the table this week. You've got a winner on your side in Mallory with
That's all right. I'm going to
Arlington
drag
Colts.
Chuck into this either way. I'm dragging Chuck in. Jeez Louise.
Denton Geyer big. There you see Arlington up at the top. Flower Mound Marcus. We've talked about a couple Flower Mound squads tonight, and then
Marcus is rolling.
They continue to roll. Moving on to some more 6A scores. You've got Plano West up at the top. They won.
Way to go, Plano
ending
West.
a 34-game winning or losing streak. Wow, Plano West. Can you believe it? Can we sit here and marvel at Plano West?
That's pretty good, man.
That's big
I'm
time.
loving that. I'm loving that for them, and they deserve it. 34 straight losses. Wow. And they get a victory at 35.
Crazy fashion, onside kick, going down and scoring. Just a fun one.
Well, they are partying right now, man. It's Cokes or Dr. Pepper's, whatever it is.
Ginger ale.
Ginger ale all around at the Whataburger.
Refreshments.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Dr. Pepper. They're a Dr. Pepper company.
Thank you.
Yeah, some other scores there. Skyline rolls. Down there at the bottom, it said 0-0, but Richland was actually leading that game back on that last graphic. I'll get into that here.
Look at Lovejoy getting a much-needed victory, 31-24 versus Denison.
Yeah, Denison better watch out. That's a district with we can explain this.
We're just going to have to add a
lot
point
going on as far as playoff projection stuff with that district. We had a 4-way tie going into last night. So for first place.
Then you've got Sherman defeating West Mesquite. John Tyler falling to Mesquite Poteet, an emphatic win for the Pirates in that one in the 5A level.
Hey, Thomas Jefferson, although they lost, man, everybody's a Thomas Jefferson fan from what happened to those guys with the tornadoes that came through Sunday night.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. October 20th. And Gene and Jerry Jones Foundation partnered with the NFL Foundation, donating $1 million.
Mark Cuban matched it.
Yep. Exactly. The Mavs stepping in big time.
That's awesome.
That was a fun ceremony. I actually was out at that Los Field, or is it Lowe's Stadium?
Crouch Field, but it's at Lowe's Fieldhouse. Athletic Complex.
Yeah,
so.
it was a fun day out there. Gene and Jerry Jones and Charlotte Anderson were there. Charles Haley was there, gave a speech. So you're exactly right.
Charles Haley gave a speech?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody with Thomas Jefferson, of course, but they did fall to Seagoville. Looking at the 5A scores some more. Cleburne falling to Midlothian. That was a good football game overall. Royce City falls to North Forney. You've got Mansfield Legacy with a big 51-0 win over Samuel, and Legacy still trying to fight for that fourth playoff spot. Highland Park's next opponent, Mansfield Timberview, doing what we expected them to do against Bryan Adams. Moving on to 4A here in Week 10 of the Texas high school football season. Argyle putting up big numbers against Anna. Melissa, big winners over Sanger, which is kind of an interesting score. There's Parish Episcopal down there at the bottom. Not a big day for Evan Green, but the Panthers do get it done regardless.
Carter Pinkston, that was my game. We didn't talk about it.
No, we didn't talk about that because we replaced it.
60-7, and that Zach Walchuk gave me that game, didn't he?
I actually gave it to you.
Okay,
yeah.
I take that back. What I was about to say about you, Jack.
Yeah, it wasn't Wolchuk. It was me because I know you love that Carter Cowboys squad.
I do.
You love that Carter Cowboys squad.
I do.
So there's some looks at our final scores from around Week 10 of the Texas high school football season. Time now for Stars of the Week. Stars of the Night. Mr. Guy Frazier, you start us off.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to the biggest game of the state tonight, Highland Park and Lancaster. I'm going to pick one on each side. Latrell Caples for Lancaster, 9 receptions for 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Hunter Heath for Highland Park, 10 rushing attempts for 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. We talked about he was averaging 14.9 yards a carry coming into tonight. He averaged 13 yards a carry tonight, so he did it again. Some really explosive plays for Highland Park as they come out on top.
I'm going Plano West. Where else do I go? I go Plano West. They break that losing streak. They get off the snide. They get them a victory. Now let's start the winning streak. Let's win another one next week, right? That's a 2-game winning streak.
They head into the offseason with a little momentum.
That is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Plano West, we're turning this around. State championship next year.
That would be interesting.
I'm jumping out the cake right now. That would be an example of jumping out of the cake.
Mallory, who you got?
I'm going to go with
No, Mallory, you got to go with your brother.
You've got
to make up for this for being on vacation. There's no way you could go with another team.
Who were you going to say? Because I'm curious.
I was going to say Allen and Raylan Sharp. It was really, impressive. But I'll go with Lamar.
Lamar's defense.
You said earlier you were like, no one really showed up for the defense. No teams, but Lamar did.
How about that?
They really showed up.
Say
I'm
something
going
good
to
about
call
him.
my brother after this game and see if he had a little bit.
Because you had him the whole time, Mallory.
I did, yeah. So
she did it just to motivate him.
No, was it reverse?
We're just going to pretend that,
reverse psychology.
Yes. I knew
Mallory,
that was
I
going to
helped you
happen.
out.
So, exactly.
She
But
feel like
Litter
a
in,
Very
Hartley family.
impressive.
Litter in the door. Litter
very
in.
impressive win from Lamar tonight. I'm super excited for them.
Well, Yeomans, who you got?
My star tonight is Chris Beam in the other room.
Everyone.
What Chris Beam do?
Money.
He's driving the ship. Matt Kent had to have a late scratch. He was a healthy scratch tonight for our
Boy.
overtime show. He hasn't even punched a show in there before.
Yeah.
Well, he did it the entire overtime.
He's MacGyver.
Chris Beam,
Smooth to me.
big time. He's a Swiss
Oh, my
Army
God,
knife.
look at this
Look at
guy.
the Beam Cam in the back.
look
Look
at
at it. There's our
Pump.
Friday night
Wait a
star
minute.
joined by Tony Romo.
Tony
that's
Romo was back
did
there,
I
too.
see Tony? I was like, hey, that's Tony Romo over his shoulder.
Yeah, there's Tony Romo, a pack of M&Ms back there. My office is a little
yeah.
dirty. But it's been fun. Whataburger Friday Night Stars Week 10 has come to a close.
Awesome show.
You know what's crazy? Regular season ends next week.
Beautiful.
And then we've got
Playoffs
in Texas. Oh, man, it's just heating up. We've got plenty to come for you. Week 11 coming up next week, 5 o'clock to 7 for our kickoff show. And then we've got overtime, 9 to 11. Be sure to join us. Until then, follow us on Friday Night Stars on Twitter. Do it on Instagram as well. Like our page on Facebook and enjoy the content throughout the week. Guys all over the place like Guy Frazier. You've got Josh Price, Gavin Dunaway, and the entire Friday Night Stars crew bringing you week-long updates from around Texas high school
What a
football.
catch.
But as for tonight, do want to thank everyone involved in Friday Night Stars broadcast. For Mallory Hartley, for Heckma Harrison, Guy Frazier, for Chance Williams, Chris Beam, Tyler Perkins, Jeremy Beeling, and everyone involved. I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Week 10 of Texas high school football. We'll see you next week, and God bless.
That's a wrap.